We talk about everything that makes us hum. Hail Hydra Asylum, Hail Hydra Asylum. From trailers, comics, news, and more, we'll give you what you're looking for. Hail Hydra Asylum, Hail, 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 Hail Hydra Asylum.
You know, sometimes when doing live, I forget buttons sometimes. But what's going on, everyone? I see Joey, Eddie, of course, Mr. Nope. What's going on, folks? Not a whole lot of housekeeping today. Here's what I'm going to say about tonight's show. This is Superman Day after. Probably going to revisit some of the stuff we talked about last night on the experience. But I got a lot more stuff to show off. Not only, the Superman Day stuff that we picked up, but other comic book. Other comic book stuff. So if chat looks a little weirder than usual, let me make sure my phone's turned down. I don't know why, but the stream got created twice. So it's super weird. I'll never understand how some of this stuff works. But we're gonna hop in to this. I just want to say this real quick. I talked about Stu from Dr. Doom's fan club before. Just noticed he hit 1,000 subs. So Stu, if you happen to watch this, man, congratulations. Should have been a lot sooner. That's just my opinion. But what we are going to do is I'm going to bring in the weird one. The has a channel, has subs, will eventually get some stuff on there. Look up in the sky. It's Eddie Von B.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a dog. Go crypto.
Go crypto.
Hail Hydra. And you're killing me, Jay. You're killing me.
I'm excited when we get something on there, man. I really am.
Something might be coming really soon and with a guest.
Ooh.
So we'll see what happens.
Ooh.
I thought I'd know more by tonight, but not yet.
That's very exciting.
And it's so weird seeing me 10 seconds later on my other monitor.
Yeah, one of these days I'm going to get a dual monitor set up myself. And I'm really hoping one of these days Restream kind of fixes this latency thing. It's kind of very random. Sometimes chat pops up a couple of seconds. Hey, Stevie, what's going on, brother? And sometimes it takes like half an hour, it feels like. But I got it open up on my phone too, just in case. Sean is shopping right now. He and Jenna went to go get groceries. He should be showing up sometime later. But once again, if you missed the show on the experience last night, it was super fun. It was very short comparatively to what we usually do over here. But I'm going to show off some stuff before I get to my actual pile. I got a couple of things I want to show everyone. Some stuff that I'm excited for, comic book wise. Let me get my setup done here. And first of all, starting off, Supergirl. This is done by Sophie Campbell. We talked about it on the FOC show with Matthias Lewis Friday at 1 Eastern, noon Central. That's pretty much how I spent my Superman day. Was so I can't remember if it was a show before or a different show, but I was talking about how excited I was. Sean was going to be off. We were going to go hit a comic book shop. And Kyle's like, "Hey man, can you work the FOC show for me?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course, man." I say it all the time. I love everyone I work with. Everyone is a blast to work with. So I was like, "Yeah, I got no problem doing that." So what happened was I had a little bit of time between shows because we have that early morning or early afternoon, I should say, FOC show. And then at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, we had original art with Nick Barucci. So we had a little window there. So Sean and I hit a couple shops, and I'll be showing off again to my chat for the ones who weren't on the experience last night, showing off the Superman stuff that I grabbed, but also the other comics that I got. And then I just got a bunch of stuff to show off. But I saw the Supergirl. I'm Hey Lorena, happy WrestleMania weekend. It's been a long time since I've watched WrestleMania, if I'm being honest, but Cena's winning. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm probably completely wrong, but Cena's winning. But I saw this Supergirl. Some of the covers are really just gorgeous. So I'm excited for this. I got to read one of the comics that I picked up for Superman Day yesterday, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And in the back of that, I saw a couple ads for some other books, including this one, the Superman Hero Treasury Edition, Hero for All. Happy for it is going to be 420 tomorrow on Sunday, and happy Easter for those who celebrate. I just realized that, huh? This one, Dan Jurgens. You know, I hate the fact that he's known as the man who killed Superman, but Dan Jurgens has definitely done some great Superman stories. I'm really excited for this one coming out in July. Then we got this one I think I've talked about several times before, Superman Unlimited, and this is going to be outside of the Summer of Superman special. Summer of Superman special featured people who I believe have written Superman before, except for one, and that was Dan Slott. Dan Slott is more famously known for Spider-Man, and this was his first crack at Superman. Was the Summer of Superman? It's just a little chapter in the book. I liked it. I thought it was really good. I hear you, Joey. Um, so this being Dan Slott's like first, his own issue, I'm really excited. I'm really excited. I really love the fact also that these comics have Summer of Superman, the banner across the top of them. Uh, you know, Raphael Albuquerque's art is fantastic, so I'm really excited to see what Dan does with the character. Um, I need to check that out, Lorena. Good call. I'm going to put that on my list. Speeding Bullets. Then the next one is one that, as soon as I saw it, I was like, man, I've got to grab this. I've got to. And this right here, this is Adventures of Superman: The Book of El. This is going to be written by Philip Kennedy Johnson. And Philip Kennedy Johnson is one of those folks that, man, everything he writes for me, I've been a fan of. He did a fantastic 007 run for Dynamite. If you haven't checked that out, I think it was called for Queen and Country. I'm not 100% sure, but fantastic writing in that. The Chocolate Bunny. That is, well, yeah, that'd be. I don't know. That's kind of weird. Sounds good because I like chocolate, but I don't want to get messed up on chocolate. Uh, so before I get into my haul, I wanted to show these off. Oh nope, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. I would love that, dude. I would love that. Um, like I got a haul, but I wanted to grab other Superman related stuff I have. Now my grandmother on my dad's side, uh, she was a painter, oil painter, most of her life. I mean, she's still with us, but she's 90 now. 4 years ago, she painted Jenna and I some pictures, and we got them after. Get a little sad for just a second. After my dad's funeral, we went to my grandmother's house, and she gave these to us. Now, my grandma was 86 at the time and had terrible carpal tunnel. She's had operations on her hands, and these still turned out beautiful. So I wanted to show these off before I get into my other stuff here. So my grandma painted me this. Uh,
That is sweet, dude.
yeah, like my grandmother is freaking. She's always been super talented, but the fact that she can do this now with her hands being how they are is it blows my mind.
Oh, this was recent?
Well, it was 4 years ago.
Wow, that's impressive, dude.
Yeah,
That's really impressive.
yeah, and then she painted this for Jenna.
Oh, nice. Is that Ivy?
Yes. So,
Your grandma could have done covers, man. Those are
oh,
sweet.
100%. And I wish I could find. I don't have the picture, but she painted my cousin's son, which I've always thought my cousin's children were my cousins too. That's just how I've always been with it. Uh, she drew him. She did a Batman for him, and it was again fantastic. Like my grandmother, super talented person. She always has been. There's pictures all around this house that my grandma painted. So yeah,
That's great.
yeah, super proud of those. Was super grateful she did that. No, especially like I said, knowing that she had really bad carpal tunnel and she still took the time. She was like, "It took me a long time," and I was like, "Grandma, these are great." The funny thing about my grandmother is, for whatever reason, my sister and all, I called my dad's parents, grandma and grandpa. All the other cousins, it was Mima and Pawpaw. Never knew why it didn't stick with us, but we were the grandkids that said grandma and grandpa. But yeah, my grandma's super talented. I Jenna almost cried when she opened hers up, and wanted to just share those real quick. I also got another couple of paintings I want to show off because let's see, I got this one Jenna did for me. Usually
Oh,
hangs up on the wall. I just took it off the wall so I could show it off. We got a bunch of these little ones that she's done everywhere. She did a Batman Punisher mix up, a Red Lanterns one. Then of course I still need to get a frame for this. Hey Triple B, the one that Tracy Medina did for me. I still love this. I need to get it framed so I can get it put on my wall because it will go on my wall. So, and Joey, for those who don't know Joey Galvez, uh, Joey's a tremendous PR person, great dude. He was with the experience for a little while, doing Wednesday Warriors. Uh, he's got some stuff coming out. I don't have the site with me, Joey. If I had it, I'd put the link in the description. I should have thought about that, but um, check out Joey Galvez on Facebook. Check out some of the stuff he's doing. He's working with a team of great comic creators. Um, some basically I know we know most of these folks that he's working with, and they've got some cool stuff coming. They've got some great stuff coming. I can't wait to see it.
did your grandma ever sell any art or pictures or anything?
It's crazy that all th- this all this time I've never asked her. I've never asked her. I've always seen her just give people art. Like she's done some for my mom. She did a ton for my dad. Um, and she's done some that I can't show on screen because they're like topless. Beautiful work though. Beautiful works of art though. My grandparents lived on a boat for the longest time when I was younger, and they moved into a house after my grandfather retired from being a harbor master. I mean, they've sailed around the world. My grandpa had an earring because apparently there's some kind of sailor thing where if you like cross the equator, you pierce your ear or something. I don't know, but uh, yeah, like I said, she's been a painter my whole life. Her and Jenna hit it off because Jenna paints. She doesn't paint as much anymore, but yeah, yeah, they're lockdown covers. I remember specifically when I was younger, there was one that hung up in their boat that I spent a lot of time investigating. Uh, just saying, I was like 12 years old. I couldn't help it. But again, just beautiful, beautiful art. So to get into some of the stuff I'll be showing off, it's a bunch of random stuff, but there you go. It's I Need Your Skin. Uh, and if you want to announce the team that's on that, Joey, I won't do it because I don't want to step on your toes. But if you want to announce the team on that, please feel free to put that in the chat. I'm really excited for this book, just to let you know. So first up, like I said, yesterday was Superman Day. Some of this stuff is going to be a little bit rehashed, but got my 3-pack Blu-ray of Superman the movie, Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut, and of course Superman Returns. Uh, I've watched this thing religiously. I don't know how long it takes for Blu-rays to wear out, but I'm pretty sure I might be close wearing this out. I do need to find just regular Superman 2, but really enjoy the Donner cut. Enjoy these movies. Still need to get 3 and 4. I don't care what anybody says. I will watch 4 all day long. Then to go with that, I don't have the stand anymore because I broke it during a move, I think. This is something Jenna got me for Christmas. Think I think the year the movie came out, I don't remember exactly, but it's a let's see if I can still open it. Woo! Yeah. So it's my Man of Steel. I want to say it's a Blu-ray copy. Yes, 3D Blu-ray. The Blu-ray, DVD, and then a special features thing. So very cool. And I watched this movie not that long ago, to be honest with you. I still enjoy it.
When you first held that shield up there, I thought maybe you were going to throw one of those cellophane things at me.
Oh my goodness, that you're right about that, man. That part of the movie has always been like, where does he ever use that again? I don't think so. Where did that even come from?
I think it was just an illusion because it disappeared.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but it was out of left field, that's for sure.
All right. Well, there we go. Created by Joey and co-created, written by Alan Dumford. We had Alan on the show before. Illustrated and colored by Brian Belando. And I got to tell you, folks, if you've never seen Brian Belando's art, search for him on Instagram. I'm pretty sure his little avatar is like a crow or a raven or something. But dude is just killer. And the fact that he's not a bigger name is that it basically is. Uh, Letters by Dave Lance, and I've talked about Dave in the past so much. Dave is just amazing. Got to meet him when we went up and visited Alan for his like after wedding party. I can't remember exactly what it was called, but he invited us. We went up there and got to meet Dave and his wife and their son. Awesome people. Dave does everything. His handle is Dave Does Comics, but to me, Dave does everything. If you're a Kickstarter person, you might notice a lot of the times Dave Lentz is the letterer. Dave literally just his lettering is off the charts. He's a masterclass in that. I always get Ruben's last name wrong. I always want to say Moko, but I think it's Mocho, but I'm probably wrong again. And Kit Wallace. Kit Wallace is just that's another one that his art is so unique. It's I could tell. I am not good when it comes to you can show me a bunch of covers and me say, "Oh, this is this artist." No. Brian's art I can pick out, Alex Ross of course, and Kit's. Kit has got Mr. Easter. If you know that book from Scout, he's the person behind that. He also did the art for. I can't remember if he did the writing, but I know he did the art for. Oh my goodness! I talk about the game all the time, and now I completely forgot it. I hate when I do that. Trying to think off the top of my head and I forget, but they ordered the DVDs for the Reeve Superman show and the Superman before him. Kirk Allen. I want to say Kirk Allen. I got a picture of Kirk Allen somewhere. It's probably still packed away in a box, but yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Like, again, there's. Oh, she forgot the S. I already made her self conscious about that. Um,
Yeah, I was
that
just wondering which one she meant
that's well. I mean,
because a
if
lot
it,
of people say it wrong.
yeah.
I wasn't trying to nitpick. I was just if she's getting the George Reeves, that's awesome.
I'm gonna say autocorrect. That's what happened. That's what happened. Autocorrect got you. Yeah, that is awesome though. There's just something about those older shows. It's been a while since I've watched them.
They're
Um,
still on MeTV.
I'm gonna have to go back because I know I bought the Max Fleischer cartoons were on DVD for a little bit. And I have the again. That's something I have somewhere here in this house, but I don't know exactly where they're at. But again, I enjoy all things Superman. That's just again, I'm when people ask me things about Superman, I tell them I was like, I am the worst person to ask because I'm just going to tell you I love everything. That is one thing I'm guilty of is I'm that person that's toxically positive about Superman. Like there's not any of them I don't like. Um, well, let me go ahead and show you some of the stuff. This is going to be out of order, so again, here's that Superman Summer Superman special. It's a 3-part story in here.
Did you get to read that yet?
Yes.
Oh, was I lying?
No. 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 No.
God,
No.
I started reading that and it made me smile. I'm like, God, this is like bringing Superman and Lois back.
Yeah. It's really good. It's really good. I thought Dan Slott's story was good, and again, reading that makes me excited for his Unlimited series. Um, the story itself, it's in, like I said, it's like 3 chapters,
Hmm.
but they're all linked together. And the ending page, when I found out who was talking to us, has me super excited to learn what is going on there. Like, so I read this today. I actually read a book that I got. Usually I'm like, okay, put it on the to read pile and let me get to my or yeah, put it on my to read pile, but it's usually on the bottom because that's what it's weird how I do my to read piles. It's like, okay, well, I haven't read this, so it's going on the bottom. That way the older stuff I bought is closer to the top. This one though, I couldn't wait. So I read this one right before the show. I enjoyed it. If y'all haven't grabbed your copy, um, get on it while you can. I think the Supergirl cover already sold out for this. I've heard from a lot of people it's you can't find the Supergirl cover of it. So be sure to check it out. Again, Broken Record Jay here. I know Dan Slott is polarizing to some people when it comes to things he did with Spider-Man, but this is a different character. This is the first time he's ever written for him. So again, coming from a Superman fan that loves everything, I know that doesn't mean much, but I enjoyed his part of the story. Uh, we can do that in a couple weeks. I got a couple of other folks I want to bring on, and the way I like to do my shows is when I bring the creators on and stuff like that, I still want my fans in the chat if they want to come on. So like if Eddie wants to be on and ask questions about things, or it doesn't have to be, you don't even have to know about the comic. If you just want to ask and see what they can tell you about behind the scenes stuff you've been curious about, I like to do that because I like to bring fans and comic folks together like that. So, but we will definitely talk, Joey. I would love to have y'all on. Love to have y'all on.
Well, and if you want an unbiased opinion on that Summer of Superman special, I'm not a big Superman comic reader, and I loved it. I thought it was great. If you're a fan of the Superman Lois show that just ended in December, it's got that flavor to it. And it even has one of the storylines from Superman and Lois in it, which was really cool. So I recommend it, and I'm not a big Superman comic reader, so take it for what it's worth. I liked it.
I had one thing that wasn't really like an issue, but I found it strange that close your ears, folks. If you don't want any spoilers, I'll wait about 5 seconds. Everyone had superpowers in one of the
Yeah.
stories. That was kind of weird to me, but I still dug it. It was different. So
I also found it interesting that they decided to do the tornadoes thing again.
yeah,
I mean, when that first popped up, I immediately thought of Dan and his tornado stories. I'm like, who wrote this? Or no, it was John. It was John, wasn't it, that brought up the Superman tornado
I think I think
Kent
it
thing?
was, but I can't remember.
I always think it's Dan, but I think that was John Cole,
It
and,
might have been John.
and
I
he
just
sent
remember
us
that
on like a
story.
2 week manhunt for
Yeah,
a story that didn't exist.
which I told him. I said, "Man, you need to pitch that story." Oh, funny you should mention. Well, of course, it's all the way at the bottom of my pot. We'll get to it, Joey. We'll get to that one. I just forgot where it was in my stack of stuff here. Something else I picked up because I've heard great things about it is Resurrection Man, Quantum Karma. I've been hearing great things about this book from a lot of folks that I watch. This is a Rom V story, and for me, Rom V is a Kyle Starks, Scott Snyder kind of name for me. If I see his name on a book, I'm gonna check it out. We've had him on the experience quite a few times. I've watched him when he shows up with Robbie on Robbie's channel. He's such a great dude, and like I said, I've been hearing so many good things about this book. I was like, all right, I got to pick it up. I don't want to be left out. We don't visit the comic shop as often as I'd like to, but hopefully that'll
Do you know what that
that'll
one's
change.
about?
Not a clue.
Okay, cool.
Not a clue. I know that the character has existed before, but I know nothing about it. Like I stayed away from the spoilery kind of channels. I just watched the people that talked about it. They didn't spoil it or say anything about the story. They just talked about how great it was. So I was like, you know what? Most of these folks that I watch, I trust their opinions on books. So I'm like, I'm gonna give it a shot. Next one I want to show off real fast is the DC Universe Rebirth Deluxe Edition. And this is mainly because I've said it before, I'll say it again. I was not a fan of the new 52 suit. I know a lot of people were. This is them going back and not re-adding. They didn't add the trunks back, but they made the suit more like the original Superman suit. And again, no shade or anything to anybody that loved the new 52 suit or who loves the new Superman suit. It's just not for me. I prefer this kind of suit. So wanted to just show that one off. Hold on. Here we go. Next one I got Superman Aliens. It's a fun little I Elseworld, but it's a fun story. You got ponytailed slash mullet Superman in it. Always a good time with that version. But it's basically Alien versus Xenomorph or Alien versus Xenomorphs. Well, yes, actually, I'm technically right
You're
when I
not
say
wrong.
that.
I was just gonna say you're not wrong.
Technically right, which is the best kind of right. But this was published by DC Dark Horse, Dan Jurgens' book. Can't go wrong. I think there's different ones. I don't think this is the only Superman alien story, but I could be wrong. But yeah, and again, this just shows the suit. For me, I was always the underwear on the outside. Never bothered me as a kid. Didn't bother me as an adult. In fact, the first time I saw the Man of Steel suit, my first question was, "Where are the trunks?" And then I got over it, and I was like, you know what, the suit looks good to me with or without trunks. So I'm kind of
It
ambidextrous that
it
way.
was like a DC thing because Batman had them too.
Yeah,
66 Batman had like the light purplish for the chest and the legs, and then the dark blue for shorts, boots. And then the front of his cowl was actually black, but it was only the very front, and the rest of it was dark blue. So it was like all over the place.
in the animated series, if I remember correctly, he had trunks
Hmm.
on the outside as well. So
So did Robin.
yeah,
It
they
was like
did.
I don't know many. Are there Marvel ones? There ain't a lot of Marvel ones that even wear capes. The cape is more like the DC thing.
Yeah,
Marvel, all I can think of off the top of my head is Vision and Thor. I'm
true.
sure there's more, but off the top of my head, that's all I'm coming up with. Oh,
Uh,
Doctor Strange,
Doctor
obviously.
Strange, Doctor Doom, the Sentry, uh, Beta Ray Bill, but that's because he's Horse Thor. To me, the better Thor. That's just my opinion on that. Uh, so next
Are
thing
you
we got,
saying you want to replace Chris Hemsworth with Mr. Ed?
yes,
That'd be awesome.
yes.
Oh, Wilbur.
So next thing I got is Superman: The Complete History, but obviously it's not the complete history, just because I think this book came out maybe 2000s, early 2000s, perhaps. Can't remember. The interesting thing about this book, though, is let me take off the dust cover, the little dust jacket.
So, are you the reason why I heard today that in the greater Houston area there's a shortage of Superman comics available?
I mean, maybe that's what's under that dust cover.
You got all these yesterday?
No, 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 no,
Oh,
no,
okay.
no. These are stuff from my own collection. I just wanted to show off.
Oh, I was gonna say, man, you got a heck of a score yesterday.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, I love the dust cover. I really do. I love the art on it, but the fact that it took me a while before I actually took the gut. I had this book for I don't know how long before I was reading it. I was like, all right, let me just take. I need the dust cover out of the way because sometimes they get in the way. So I took it off and I looked at it. I was like, oh my goodness. I just,
That looks a lot like the Super Friends Superman.
yeah, I just,
I'm digging it.
yeah, it's history. It's got the guy who played him, who first voiced him in the radio show. It has, the fact that kind of their first foray into Superman, Siegel and Schuster, was they did a story called Reign of the Superman, and that Superman was more like Lex Luthor. I think he was even bald. And yes, I say Luthor. I know it's Luthor, but I've always just said Luthor. Maybe it's my accent. I don't know. But
He was just Luther in the Super Friends, so that's what I've always called him. The only time I ever heard Luthor was in the
Otis,
movie with what's his face saying it.
Otis,
Hey, Mr. Luthor.
Mr. Luthor,
What the heck was his real name? I know the
Ned
actor.
Beatty.
Ned Beatty. Yep, there you
Yeah.
go.
Um, Now some of these aren't like Superman centric, but they're some of my favorite ones that he's in. This is another one out of the collection before we went shopping. So this is one I've had for a while. This is crossover classics.
Oh, Soups is about to get his butt kicked by Spidey again. All right.
Yeah, this is great. I think there's a story in here where it has like I think it's Doc Ock and Luther trying to break out of prison. Batman versus Hulk. I mean, just a really fun book. I think this is. I think there's another one where it's the DC Marvel collection. So I have the Marvel DC collection. I think there's another one called the DC Marvel collection, but I can't remember.
Do you have a Superman versus Spider-Man?
No,
Oh, that is a good book, brother.
no.
I should go grab mine. I've had it since I was a kid.
Bro, you should.
But that might be the only Superman book I have. That's probably not true. I know I have the trades of Red Sun and Kingdom Come and a few of the others, but as single comics, you know what I had the most Superman of, and it's
Hmm.
just because it's the way it worked out was coloring books.
Oh, that's
Because
still
I
cool.
loved to color when I was a kid, and my mom and dad would just buy whatever, and when it came to a coloring book, I didn't even really care. But so, yeah, I got a lot. In I also, if I don't know if you remember, you might be too young, but in the '80s they had like this big. It was like the size of Superman versus Spider-Man, but it was like Punch Out Valentines, and the whole book were Valentines, and that's when we had to swap them at school. And
Yeah.
they got me the book, and I had to pop them out and give them away to people. And boy, do I wish I hadn't have popped them out and gave them away because I've seen them on eBay for a couple $100. But
You real quick, that was something that Matthias and I were talking about the other day. Yesterday, I say the other day, yesterday, because a collected edition of Transformers is coming out, and he asked me, he goes, "Were you a big Transformers fan?" And I was like, "Well, if I'm being completely honest, which I always am, if I haven't read anything, I will flat out be like, nope, haven't read it." I was like, I've never actually read outside of the what was it? I think they did Transformers and My Little Pony because Jenna was collecting them. Outside of reading an issue of that, I've never read a Transformers comic. I was a fan of the cartoon as a kid. I was scarred like most people from that movie in the 80s.
I'll be right back, Jay.
Okay. Um, I had I loved the first live action one. I know that a lot of people weren't a big fan of that one, and then the other ones kind of started getting eh. The weirdest thing about that to me is the first Transformers to me had the best CGI. And I think that the reason that was because they didn't have all the other Autobots and Decepticons that they had in the later movies. Maybe they could spend more time on the ones they had in the first movie. Those always looked really good to me. But I was like, yeah, I'd never read it. And then we started talking about he never had the toys. He had Micronauts, and he goes, and I feel bad about like giving him away or whatever. And I said, I walk into some comic shops now or some collectible shops, and I see these toys I had as a kid, like, and I see how much they are now. And I was like, do you know how many GI Joes I had that they were connected with that hook and rubber band? That's how they connected the torso to the legs. It was like a hook and a rubber band. It's like, how many GI Joes I twisted in half because I just wanted to twist them and then let the legs go so they'd spin around. Or I'd drop bricks on them because I would have little wars with them in my backyard. Like, how many of those toys I broke, and now seeing how much they are is just insane to me. Yeah, absolutely. I think that first one is the best. Jenna and I personally liked Bumblebee. Uh, I haven't watched Transformers one yet, but I'm really wanting to, just because I've heard great things about it. So yeah, there was just it's one of those things when you go back, you start thinking about, and then you see these toys and you remember. Oh, Joey, I know. When people are like, you know, that song was from 20 years ago, and I'm thinking the 80s. I don't remember hearing that in the 80s. And then I was like, 20 years ago was still 2000, man. I had a niece tell me one time what it was like being born in the late 1900s. Okay, I have never in my life before then had anybody ask me the late 1900s. We just call them the 80s. Like, I don't know when we started doing like the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, or whatever, but I've never been asked before what it was like being born in the late 1900s. I mean, good night. Yeah, Lorena. Let me tell you, the Turtles toys that didn't survive? Yes, nope. 100%. Like, I saw somebody, it brought back a whole lot of nostalgia from the third Turtles movie when you would get the turtle dressed as the Shogun and they'd have the lantern thing. I was like, oh my God, I had those. Or the turtle movie figures to where the legs and everything just popped off. I had the turtle that like had the big shell on it. You open up the shell and you could swap, like fold into itself and make it an actual turtle. Yeah, Lorena, that was always weird to me. Like those toys are for everyone. I've always had a weird thing about that too. Like, I had a little sister growing up, so yeah, I played with Barbies. I'm not ashamed to admit that because when your baby sister's yelling at you to play with her, I mean that's what you do. So I had tea parties and played Barbies and watched Barney the dinosaur. That, in fact, that was one of my punishments when I was a kid. When I would be grounded, I couldn't watch regular TV, but my sister always wanted me to watch Barney with her. So if I wanted to watch anything while I was grounded, it was Barney the dinosaur. So that's awesome. That's awesome. I remember those toys so vividly because all the weapons were those weird tan ones that you like twist. They gave you the little plastic sheet thing, and you would twist them off. Yeah, man, I remember toys like that, man. Nostalgia, nostalgia. So getting back to we'll get back to Superman stuff, but trust me, keep talking, y'all. We'll break away and the pizza shooter. Yes, the pizza shooter. There was a board game when I was a kid where you could like make pizzas. Like it was a game where you're supposed to make a pizza, and I found out that if you took some of those pieces from that, you can shoot them out. You could shoot them out of the pizza shooter. I had that. I had the bike that had the trash can sidecar. I had Mondo Gecko on a skateboard. Uh, yeah, man, I love those things, man. And those pizzas, I wasted so many batteries because for a while, I'd have it, rolling on the wheels and everything, and then finally I just took the wheels off and we just hold it and shoot at people. Yeah, man, those toys back in the day were great, and they didn't feel like they were $900. Uh, so anyway, next thing I got is a staple in my collection. It's the trade for the Death of Superman. Just a fantastic story. I have most of these in single issues too. Uh, but I love this book. I probably have a couple of things that are doubled, or I have something that has this and another book in one book. But Death of Superman is a classic. I still have my ultra rare white polybag. I want to say it was Superman 500. And then I have one out of the bag. I have one with the hologram piece on it, and one without the hologram piece. I was super into that book. Then I've showed these off before and talked about them. These are the DC Black Label Last Days of Lex Luthor. It's a fantastic story. This first one, at least, this is the one where this is because they don't do this storyline all the time. This is one where Lex and Clark grew up, Yeah, the gray cover of the white gray one of this one, Triple B. That's awesome. It's a story where Clark and Lex grew up. Yes, the onesies with the Velcro cape. Yeah, it really is, and it makes me mad. I want some freaking footy pajamas with a cape. But I was definitely, grew up on regular TV, didn't have cable for the longest time, so I didn't have the luxury of having Nick at Night at my house to watch the older George Reeves stuff. But we did have a block of TV, and I can't remember what the third show was, but it was Batman 66 and the Monkeys. So when Batman 66 came on, you best believe I had that towel around my neck, jumping off the couch and getting in all kinds of trouble. Man, it drove my mom crazy when I was a kid. Then we picked this up not too long ago. I showed this one off too. This is book two. Book three should be coming out pretty soon if it's not already out. I have not cracked into this one yet. This is on my to read pile. Um, like I said, the first one was a fantastic story. I heard from some people that they kind of fell off because it was like 2 years between these books. And I was like, well, for me, I got lucky. Sean bought it for me in January. So much like Reacher season three, I didn't have to wait too long to watch the final episode. Sorry, I had to bring that up again, Ed.
Love you too, Jay.
Um, so I was like, cool. So I read that one. I was like, all right, the next two are coming out this year. So second and third book came out pretty close together. Another DC Black Label book I got, Superman versus Lobo. And I'm hoping that I know we don't want to copy Marvel. I know people don't want that, but I want them to kind of borrow the idea of doing special presentations, right? Where we get the actors in the movies to be in like a show. Yeah, nope. I found that out quite a few times. Cape doesn't give you powers, you can't fly. Uh, um, because I would love for them to do For the Man Who Has Everything, which, if folks don't know that story, it's Superman gets a package on his birthday. It ends up being, I can't remember if it was a plant, but it's some kind of alien thing that attaches to him. And he dreams of a world where Krypton was never destroyed. He still lives there. And then Batman and Wonder Woman show up. And I think it was Mongol that sent the present to him. I think it was Mongol. Somebody can fact check me on that. But that was a really good story. I would love for them to do things like that, where it doesn't have to be a full movie or a full series. But I would love to see Jason and David square off in a short little special presentation. Because I hear that Marvel's doing one for Punisher, and there might be another Werewolf by Night one in the works. So
There should be if there's not.
yeah. And I'm really hoping they do what they did last time. And by that, you know, they released it in black and white, but then they went back and released a colored version. I'm kind of hoping that we stick with that if we're doing another Werewolf by Night. I know people love the aesthetic, but again, there are some people, and it's not just Ed. I know we bring that up a lot, but that's because Ed's here. But like Jenna, unfortunately, couldn't watch it the first time. I described the whole thing to her. Yeah, they did an episode on Justice League Unlimited, which Justice League Unlimited, was it Titans? Not Titans. Young Justice, all great shows. But the first time we watched it, I sat there and basically dictated the whole show, and it wasn't the same. She was really kind of depressed about it, and later on they released it in color, and folks that couldn't see it before got to watch it, and apparently that was a very smart move because the folks that couldn't watch it before that watched it this time loved it just as much as the people that loved the first one. Yep, and he had a son on Krypton. He had a conversation with his dad. Like the episode, if you can find, I can't remember if it's on Max or not, but if you can find Justice League Unlimited, search for the man who has everything. It's a fantastic episode, and watch the whole show because Justice League and Justice League Unlimited it should have been the blueprint for some of the movies. I said that about the DC animated movies as well.
I must say that for someone who couldn't see the majority of the Werewolf by Night, that when they did do that last scene in color, my jaw dropped when everything fell into place. I was like, dang, they did a really good job
Yeah,
with this set and everything.
yeah, and before that, we'd only seen Man Thing in that weird horror movie they did. I want to.
Yeah.
I think it was like a sci-fi original. I can't remember what.
Yeah, I kind of remember what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the only. We'd only seen him in that, and that one to me was just a weird movie. Uh, Not as weird as the Doctor Strange movie they did in the '70s. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but and I can't, I know that actor. I just cannot remember his name right now.
I remember it, but I don't remember his name.
But you know, people are like, oh, Benedict Cumberbatch, first live action Strange. I'm like, no, he wasn't. It's just the Doctor Strange movie from the '70s that I saw on a rerun wasn't exactly. It was basically, and I love Supergirl.
Peter Hooton.
Peter, yeah,
He looks like a prawn star.
yes, yes, but the Supergirl movie, it was kind of that level, maybe a little worse, but I enjoyed the Supergirl movie too. So,
Wow, there is no one else in the cast of that movie that I've ever even heard of before.
yeah,
That's funny. You'd to think one of them would have went on to do something, but interesting.
and something random that is just something we picked up. I got this for Jenna. It's Amazing Spider-Man number 70, Scotty Young cover, where I think it's supposed to be the like an 8 deaths of Spider-Man variant. She's a big Spider-Man fan and a Scotty Young fan, so this was perfect for her. She wasn't feeling well, so she wasn't able to go with us. So I was like, well, that's what I'm gonna pick her up. So what is this, like Legacy number 964? I forget that they do that.
Did you see the Scotty cover for the Godzilla versus Fantastic Four? That's a great cover. I picked one up.
I think so.
One of them's in a Godzilla suit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That is a great cover.
I
Great
picked one
cover.
up. I had to. It was only $3. I'm like, I'm picking that up.
Hell yeah. Um, One of my other pickups. Again, this is an issue 6. I've only read 1 or 2 issues of this series. I know that's terrible, but it's Crisis on Infinite Earths number 6. I just really dug the cover. They didn't have a number 1, but I liked this. Wasn't until afterwards I was like, oh, this is issue 6. That just gives me all the more reason to go find the story somewhere. And I want to
So
say they,
you knew all that Crisis stuff from the TV show then? Because you were the one that was explaining it to me when I was trying to figure out which Lois and Superman to watch.
yep, that's that's what it was. My main knowledge, because like I said, I've only read an issue or 2 of the Crisis. My main knowledge from that was when they did the Arrowverse one, um, and there was also there's a DC animated 3-part one from earlier. I think late last year, earlier this year. All 3 parts are out. That should be on Max. I hear from people that like the comic that they still didn't do it right, but again, I have no issue if stuff isn't exactly like the comic. I mean, obviously, if I did, I wouldn't like Peacemaker at all. Uh, so I still need to check that one out. But I was like 3-part, and I think it's one of. I think no, it is the last time Kevin Conroy voiced Batman in an animated thing before he passed. Um, funny enough about Kevin Conroy, I just found out that the Devil May Cry series on Netflix, he's a voice in that. I was like, wow, they're releasing stuff. I guess he did some voice work before he passed that hadn't been released yet. So, really excited, man. That's a voice for me that I know we're talking Superman, but that's a voice from my childhood. When I think of Batman, uh, there's two people. I got live action. It's Adam West. Like for one, that's I know he's the goofy Bat Tootsie. Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. You know, Bat Shark repellent, all that stuff. But he's the clear as a bell. I hear his voice. Uh, Cartoons, it's Kevin Conroy.
Without the Adam West Batman, we don't get to the rest of them. So
Exactly.
you've got to give him the respect. I mean, is it corny now to watch? Yeah, but as a kid, dude, when I'd hear that car rev up and see the cartoon Batmobile pull up, and especially when I got a little older and into girls and the Batcycle would go by, I'd be like, oh, this is gonna be a good show because that meant Batgirl was gonna be on. But
Was that the Yvonne Craig was
hmm
Batgirl? Yeah.
she looked good in that suit, even to a
That
kid.
a saving grace of Batman and Robin was Alicia Silverstone first putting on that Batgirl suit. Just saying.
I don't know if anything could save Grace with that one, but okay.
For me, it was her. It was her wearing that. Well, look at the behind the scenes of her putting that suit, like her in that suit before they had the cape on it. Just saying. Wow. I forgot how gorgeous Alicia Silverstone was back in the day. Still pretty to me now. Don't get me wrong. Uh, but yeah, Kevin Conroy is a voice for so many people. Like that Batman the animated series was just. I know a
He
lot of people say it's like pure cinema.
he was basically to your generation what Casey Kasem was to mine, because Casey Kasem's voice was in like every cartoon, Scooby Doo, Battle of the Planets, the Super Friends. Casey Kasem was in all those.
Wasn't he the original Shaggy?
Yeah, that's why I said
Yeah,
Scooby Doo. Yeah,
yeah. Oh,
yep. And
Casey
I think
Kasem.
he was Robin, wasn't he? Robin in Super Friends. I think he was
That
Robin.
that's been a little too long for me to remember. It's been a long time since I've watched
Did you watch
reruns.
Battle of the Planets? Because he was Mark on that, the main Gotchaman guy.
No, I never saw that either.
Oh, you need to go back and give that a look. That was my favorite cartoon. And it's actually like it's like today's adult manga without the adultness. But it's really good.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna give it a shot. If you say it's good. So the map of Gotham the Bat came about 66 is that's a nice little piece of trivia. No, nope, I didn't know that. St. Louis backwards. Huh. That is very interesting. And yeah, Devil May Cry is in my list. We just hadn't sat down to watch it yet. That that is another thing where I had the benefit of I watched my friends play the game. I never really played it, so I don't know anything about the lore. So they could do pretty much anything in there, and I'll be like, oh, okay, as long as it's a good show, it's a good show. So getting back to this, I still got a bunch of I got a bunch of stuff show. It's basically a show off show tonight. Uh, this is my 30th anniversary deluxe edition of Death of Superman.
Well, that's a thick one.
Oh yeah, let's
I
see.
thought the Death of Superman was just like one little episode or issue. Episode. Dang. I get episode and issue screwed up all the time now, thanks to you, sir.
And you can thank Dan for that
Okay, I'll thank Dan then.
because Dan did that to me when working with him. Here's without the dust cover. Nice wraparound.
So that must have been like a 10 issue storyline or something then that led up to his
Yeah,
death.
I think it's that, but then you had the Reign of Superman storyline that came on. That's where we got introduced to like the Guardian and Superboy and uh, Steel. and things like that. No, Corey, they should have never killed him in the first place.
My friend David would agree with you, Corey, because he bought 50 copies because he knew he was going to be able to retire off of him. And I'm like, dude, he's not going to stay dead. No, he's dead. He's gone forever. No, trust me, he's going to. No. 6 months later, I showed up at his house. He pointed right at me and said, "Shut up. I don't want to hear it." And I tossed him a issue of a certain comic. Superman Lives. Like, told you.
Yeah, like I said, I think this one also has one of the other. Yeah.
That was my nickname in high school.
Oh God, I wish Castle was here. Um, so then I showed this off too. I got this reprint foil facsimile, or not reprint, facsimile of 233, very famous Neil Adams cover.
You want a piece of trivia on that cover?
Yes.
Neil Adams' least favorite cover. He hated that cover. He was embarrassed of that cover
Oh wow.
because he had to draw the left leg too long to get it to go around the word Superman. And he said that he was OCD and that picture bugged the hell out of him. Every time he sees it, he called them the trembly wemblies because he couldn't stand it. And when people would bring him that to sign, he said, I'd sign over the leg just to be indignant. But a neat little piece of trivia. You never noticed before, did you?
Nope, but now it's all I can notice.
I just ruined your favorite cover. I'm sorry.
Anybody watch How I Met Your Mother? You know that thing where the glass shatters? You seen that episode where
Hmm.
people find out, oh my goodness, and the glass shatters? Yeah, that just happened with me. That's okay. It's still an iconic cover to me.
In my defense, you said you wanted to hear it.
Yes, but now looking at it, yeah, I thought it was just a perspective thing, like his right leg was further back or something. But now the more I look at it, I don't
Yeah.
care. I still
He
still
said
not.
he said he had to draw it longer to make it go around the name, and he just could not get comfortable with it, and he hated that cover.
I would have made this. I would have made the font smaller. Oh goodness. Well,
Well, see, he just needed you around to tell him how to do covers right because he was
exactly.
so bad at it.
Exactly. You need the great artist that Neil Adam was. He needed my laser focus to
Believe it or
tell him
not,
how to.
I saw that interview with him, and it was when they were interviewing him about he was going to start working on the New Gods, and they brought that cover up as his most iconic, and he literally shuddered and went, "Oh, I can't look at that." And they're like, "What? What are you talking about?" And then when he explained why, they're like, "Oh yeah, I never noticed that before."
I can't wait to tell Jenna and Sean this. I can't wait. That's
Y'all are welcome.
wow.
Feel free to make your what are they called, voodoo dolls, and poke me wherever. You're welcome.
So then, for those who went and shopped for Superman Day, maybe some of your shops did this, but they gave out some free comics. We got Jimmy Olsen's Super Cyclopedia. Very interested to see what this is about. Includes a preview of the Superman graphic novel. Not sure which one they're doing there. Then we got another one that I haven't read that I hear a lot of great things about, and that's Superman for All Seasons. So I'm really excited to tear that one open. Uh,
Oh, you've never read that one?
no,
That is a good one. I read that one.
yeah, so I'm definitely excited. Like they sure made Soup's a beefy boy on this one.
Wow.
Like he's pretty beefy there.
I say nothing. I just here to watch show and fix sprinkler.
Fans in the chat, that question from Joey is for y'all as well. Be sure to let him know. Hollow printed covers, I still do. I still like the gimmicky stuff.
What's full printed covers? I'm drawing a blank. What is
Well,
it? You mean with
Uh,
like the trade dress on it and everything?
I think so,
Yeah, I like those.
because my mind immediately went to posters of the covers. Um, so
That's the one thing I like about Scotty is he keeps them old school and he'll put like word balloons on the cover like they
yeah,
used to way back in the day.
yeah, something that an idea that I've I'm I don't want to take credit for it, but I'm gonna take credit for it. There was the company Comics Tribe that I talk a lot about. A lot of great books there. Uh, I had made a suggestion one time about doing metal cards. You know how we have metal covers?
Hmm.
I suggested doing metal cards. They did them. They did very well. And then I got the idea because I wanted them to do this with Alan Dumford's hollow covers. I like hollow covers, holographic covers. I wanted them to do it with Alan Dumford and Will Radford's series, uh, Pocus Hocus, where instead of doing metal covers, they took all the covers and made metal cards of the covers. Because to me, that felt like a cheaper way for folks that don't or can't spend $60 on a metal cover, which is basically a metal plate that they glue on top, like to break any kind of, the suspension of disbelief on what metal covers are. They're still cool. I have tons of them. I love them. But I was like, man, if they would do metal cards of the covers so people could collect them that way, make those a stretch goal or an add-on or something like that. Just
Or
saying, anybody.
even put them on like a magnet strip where you could like put them up on like your, you know how they have those walls, the bulletin boards that are magnetic.
Hmm.
Because I have a bunch of horror movie posters that are magnets that I put up on my whiteboard when I'm doing my plan of attack for class, and I have those all along it because it's magnetic, and that would be really cool to if people would do comic covers and magnets.
Yeah, I have another series that I collect. It's called Immortal Era from a dude named Edward Davis,
Hmm.
and he does magnets of his covers. So we on our freezer, we got a bunch of the covers that he's done for his book, or the artists have done for his book as magnets. So they're like lined up on our freezer.
Nice. I got some Lady Death ones from Brian too from his Kickstarters because he does magnets once in a while.
See, and I'm a sucker for stuff like that, man. When it comes to Kickstarter, I like. There's a lot of people that they're like, just give me the book. I am a sucker for getting a little bit of swag, a little bit of swag.
Nobody does swag better than Brian, in my opinion, because he comes up with some of the coolest stuff, and sometimes his swag is like another special edition of a comic that you can't buy anywhere. Like
Yeah,
he'll release a what are those called? Progress goals or
the stretch goals.
stretch goals. He'll release like a stretch goal edition of like a Lady Death comic or something, and he'll put that in everybody's packet for anybody who was a physical backer. He really knows how to have some awesome swag. Not to mention he's got ridiculous amounts of people that do his Kickstarters.
Yeah, Corey, I have not. I'm sure that I have a friend somewhere that has. I also know that they're releasing some kind of collected edition through through shops because I can't remember. It was on the like Matthias. That's what started the whole conversation with Matthias about Transformers. Was that they were releasing some kind of collected edition through shops, but I cannot remember what it was at this moment. Best swag y'all got from a Kickstarter, and what do you want to see more of? There you go, folks. Joey's putting this thing together, y'all. So if y'all got any suggestions for him, let him know. I'm just excited to see what y'all come up with, Joey. I mean, again, you've got a dream team that you're working with, folks that I'm fans of all around. So I'm just excited to see what y'all do.
If you want tips for stuff to do for Kickstarter swag, just look at some of Polito's Lady Death stuff because he comes up with some of the coolest stuff, from glow in the dark covers to magnets to glow in the dark magnets. He even gave away action figures. That's how I got my Lady Death Christmas ornament, was in one of his Kickstarters. He comes up with some really cool swag.
Chaos on hardcover collected editions. That might be a good suggestion for Brian there.
I don't even know if he can access those anymore.
That's true because
I think
some of
that's
the
in the loot limbo, like some of the Marvel stuff for
yeah.
movies is,
Let me
because that's why he started Coffin Comics. Because I think he even lost the rights to Belladonna, and that was my favorite book after Lady Death that he used to do. But when the other people started doing Belladonna, it sucked. It wasn't good anymore. But Brian's Belladonna was fantastic.
let me pull this up real quick. Nope sent this. See if I can get it loaded here. Giant lighted lucite map of Gotham City. That's very cool. That is very cool. And that's probably a question for you, Ed. He lost everything but Lady Death.
I don't know about everything, but I know Lady Death is one of them he kept. I think he still has Evil Ernie. If he doesn't, that's kind of funny because he designed Evil Ernie after himself. If you ever saw a picture of Brian in his 20s with his curly hair, he looks just like Evil Ernie. And I know he's got Hell Witch and La Muerta, and I think he lost Purgatory because I think Dynamite had Purgatory for a while. But I don't know if he got Purgatory back or not.
Well, I
Because I
don't
know
know.
he's done books with Purgatory in it.
See, I'm not sure because didn't they just release not that long ago? Because we had that spicy edition of Purgatory that Dynamite
Yeah.
had.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Okay, see, and getting free stuff is cool too, and trading card stickers and buttons. Yeah, Joey, I'm 100% down, especially when it's free stuff. Like get like I said, there's a lot of people that just give me the book, which I've always thought, you know, I don't know the ins and outs of Kickstarter stuff, but I always thought that'd be an option that should be given to people, if they're like, yeah, just give me the book, that way maybe it saves y'all from printing stuff. Mm. So I got to it. It wasn't as far down as I thought it was, but and I grabbed this after James Gunn talked about things that were going to be used in the DCU. So here's my hardcover of All Star Superman. Now I've been on record to say I don't think this is a bad book by any means. Please don't take it that way. I don't think it's the best Superman story. I still think that that's another book that I have hanging around here, but it is a good story, and there are just monumental parts in it. I think my favorite part, because it's kind of done in segments. So if you're looking for something where it's like straight through, it might get kind of confusing. But there's a segment where a young lady's on a roof, and that's one of the most iconic pages from this book. And she's thinking about unaliving herself, and Superman finds her and basically stays with her and talks to her. And, she's like, "Don't you have other people to save or whatever?" And he goes, "No, I think I'm good right here," basically. And he stays with her. Like that shows you the kindness. It's not always the big battles Superman fights. Sometimes it's the small struggles that individuals have, which again makes him one of my favorite characters is just that alone. But here's that without the without the dust cover. It's a little bit of a wraparound again, but Joey, I think you'll dig it, man. I'm being honest with you. I am not, and I'll say it this way, and it's not a knock on Frank Quietly. I'm not the biggest fan of his art. I don't think he's terrible or anything like that. It's just the art kind of wasn't for me, but art is always subjective. You might look at this book and be like, "Man, this thing's the most beautiful thing ever," and that's completely fine. For me, some of the art was good. Some of it was a little just not for me. But like I said, I enjoy it. I don't regret buying this. I could definitely read it again. And again, when it comes to the movie, I want people to realize when you read this, there are elements of this book, and for me, it's the kindness aspect. Maybe it's some of the villains. I know the robots are in here as well, but the robots are in other things too. Um, if you've read the book, you could also watch the DC animated universe movie that I actually enjoy more than the book. If I'm being honest, uh, it's All Star Superman. It was a fantastic to see it animated, and just the Lex in there is just fantastic. And speaking of All Star Superman, for Superman Day, I also got a free #1 All Star Superman that came with the purchase that I made of my Summer Superman book. And well, lo and behold, look at this. Here is one of my favorite Superman stories. This another deluxe edition. Scott Snyder, Jim Lee, Scott Williams, Superman Unchained. Now, again, not a fan of the new 52 suit. Doesn't take away. Doesn't take away from the fact that I love the story. The suit to me never makes Superman. It's the person behind it. Person in the suit, I should say. And
So what's the premise behind Unchained?
oh my goodness, it's been so long since I read it, Ed.
Okay, never mind.
No,
Didn't
no,
mean
no,
to put you on the
no,
spot.
no, you're good. I'll read you the little blurb inside the book. Decades before the last son of Krypton becomes Earth's champion, another being of incredible power fell from the sky. His role in humanity's deadliest conflict became America's darkest secret. Now the secret is out, and this super soldier has been unchained once more. So there's a villain in here that it's one of those. It's one of those you got to read it. It's so good, and I don't know how well you can pick this up on how. Okay, you can kind of see it. So here's without the dust cover. There we go. Just basic black cover. It's got not it's not raised, but it's like indented lettering. You can't see that at all. But yeah, but it's a great story. Again, Scott Snyder is he's writing Absolute Batman. So if you dig Absolute Batman, you dig Scott Snyder's writing on anything because Scott is again Kyle Starks to me. I see Scott's name on a book, I'm 100% reading it. Oh, cool, Joey. That's awesome. Uh, he's not on yet because I think I can hear him. They just got home. Sean, when we went out, he picked up a 2025 edition Depop. Deboss? Is that really? Huh. I've never heard it called anything before, to be honest with you. Um, Interesting. Thanks, man. He picked up a 2025 edition. Now, granted, he didn't realize it was the dust cover that was completely different, but his does come with some extra stuff in it. We found that out. So it's not like he bought the same exact book and just the dust cover was different. He got it for a good price, even if it was. But his does have a little bit of extra stuff in it. So he doesn't feel totally like, oh, I got ripped off. I was like, well, even if it didn't, you still got a great book at a good price. So the next one we got, very divisive among people. I enjoy it though. Again, haven't watched the animated movie for this. This is Injustice: Gods Among Us, the complete collection, year one. This is basically the story of Joker tricking Superman into killing Lois, and in
That's a great cartoon.
I had I need to watch it. It's in my to watch list. A whole bunch of the DC stuff I haven't watched. But the opposite is called embossed. Okay, so embossed is and debossed. Gotcha. That's good to know, man. I've never heard it called anything before. Um,
When Superman loses it in that story, oh brother,
yeah.
that's a good one. You need to read that one.
Oh, I mean, I've read most of this. I just hadn't seen I
Or
hadn't
you
seen
need
the
to see it
animated.
too.
Yeah, but he basically kills. Have you bought the new something? See, if we're gonna get that, it'll be more of a Jenna and Sean thing, and it's not because I don't like something is killing the children. I missed out on that. Um, it was Jenna had borrowed the trade from work when she worked at a comic shop, and she read it. Sean read it. I didn't. So I didn't jump on to something is killing the children until there was like a brand new arc that I read for in stores this week with Dan and Kyle. And when I read it, I was like, okay, I can see why people like this. But it's one of those that Jenna would buy it, I would read it, but I'm pretty sure she's on the hunt for getting it because I still haven't read the first part of that story, and I hear great things, and the number one being in the triple digits. I mean, got to say something about the book, got to say something about the story. So hold on, just a second. Dogs get crazy over there. Um, I need to look at like I've seen some of the other hardcovers they've done for it, and they look cool. I saw one that had a slipcase to it that I really dug, but again, it's just I wouldn't buy it until I actually read the first part of the story. But Jenna and Sean would definitely probably buy it right off the bat because they loved it. Um, Next thing I got is World Without a Superman, and this is basically collecting Funeral for a Friend, which I believe I have all the single issues for. And then it has getting old, I gotta take my glasses off. And it also has Superman 500 in it, but it's the green cover there, which I believe I have that cover as well. This I want to say is collected in the Death of Superman, or it's collected in my next one that I have, which is Funeral for a Friend. So I had gotten this quite a while back, and then this came out, and I think Jenna got this for me.
Whose
Um,
funeral?
oh, it's Superman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let me hold it up there. Got the S on the casket there. So this one is what does it collect? Collects Action Comics 685 to 686, Adventures of Superman 498 to 500, Justice League of America 70, Legacy of Superman number 1, Supergirl and Team Luthor Special number 1, Superman number 76 and 77, and Superman the Man of Steel 20 and 21. So a lot of good stuff. And let's see if I can. The colors are. So here's. Like you see the Guardian right there, the gold and blue guy giving Superman mouth to mouth. And then. See if I can find. Then you have Like you can definitely tell the colors are brighter in the for a friend. This was like the original trade for this. So yeah, same here, Joey. One thing that always has bothered me about Civil War. I
Oh
know
boy.
you didn't bring it up this time. I did. I'm talking about the comic though. I thought for sure I had the collected edition of the Civil War comic. I could not be more wrong. I don't. I have the main story, some of the tie-ins, but then I had to collect. I think Civil War Punisher, Civil War Fantastic Four. There's all these other tie-ins. I wish there was just one complete set. I think I got when we got the Spider Verse one. I think that's a complete omnibus, but I'm never sure. Like if I went over there right now, I have almost every Blackest Night hardcover except for an Orange Lanterns one. I might be missing one or two, but I have most of the Green Lantern hardcover. Got it for a steal, so long time ago. Loved it. Um, but yeah, I, I I wish that when they did some of these stories that there wasn't 800 tie-ins to complete the story. I think that's what kind of puts a lot of newer comic book folks off from comics because it's like so I to collect this story, I got to have 8 to 12 different titles in my pull box. And then when we get a collected edition, it's sometimes it's not all the stories. So you still got to buy the collected edition and then still find the stories that you're missing. So I wish they would just if it's a collected edition, it's literally everything. Like that's just my suggestion comic book folks who watch this channel religiously.
That right there is my biggest pet peeve when they restart series at a new number one. Because after a while, you forget what series and what order, and you can't get the whole story. And I've been stuck. I got into the AVX when it was
Hmm.
first coming out, but there started being so many side versions and tangents to that, and I'm like, okay, I'm lost. I don't know what book I'm supposed to be reading next
Yeah.
because they sprung off, and it got to the point for me where I was just like, I guess I'm done with it, and I quit reading it because I was lost because they kept spreading it out over this issue, that issue. You got to read this story, and it's just like, nope.
And I'm definitely not I don't want to be overly negative about it, but like how many amazing Spider-Man number 1s do we need?
Exactly. And you know it's just a money grab
Yeah, because
because
I'm
people are obsessed with getting number ones and they think it's going to be worth anything. But it's like when they're printing 20 million copies, it's not going to be worth anything.
sure, Sean, whatever. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Um, yeah, and I have the same problem with other companies too when they have like 30 different issues or 30 different characters on. Hold on, let me back up. I'm trying to talk too fast. When they have one character who has like 30 different, series. Like I like Batman too, but I don't need 8 to 12 titles of Batman. That's hard to
Not to
keep
talk
up with.
bad about a mutual friend of ours, but that's Dynamite drives me crazy with
That
the
was
Red Sonya.
that was my
The
next one.
the
That was
Sonya things drive me insane because
yes.
when they first came out, I tried to keep up. But there are so many different Sonyas now that I have no idea what's linked with what, and I refuse to say the Uverse, so I'm just going to say stories. But it gets overwhelming after a while. It's like, okay, what Sonya am I supposed to be reading?
Yeah.
And Vampy's getting the same way.
Yep. Yeah, I know. That's why I was very very glad when they started doing things like now granted it's a little bit easier but Thundercats because you have the main Thundercats, then you have Thundercats Chitara, and then you have Thundercats Lost. I'm hoping if anything that's where we keep it. Please don't do any more. Not until at least you finish. Like get done
You,
with.
You
Lost?
don't want a Thundercat Sonya?
No. We already got Thundercats Powerpuff Girls.
Yes, moi moi.
Yeah. Mom,
I'm not afraid to say moi moi either.
Oh, me neither, man. I was like,
I like it the moi moi.
oh, the joke that will never die. I love it. I
Nope.
love it. But and then like you said with Dynamite, because there's a Red Sonja title that I adore. Like
Yeah, which one?
I can't remember. That's the
Exactly.
thing. I like the one where they did the Arthurian tale for a little bit. Uh, then there was one that, like I said, I can't remember.
There
Like
was one Vampy series that I was really getting into where they kind of took it back into old school days. It was like, I'm not saying Jack the Ripper was in it, but it was that kind of setting. And it was a really good story. And I lost track of it for a couple of months. And when I went back to get back on it, there were so many vampy stories out there. I couldn't remember which one it was.
take care, Joey. Thanks for being here, boss. It was good to see you, man.
Later, Joey.
Good luck, and trust me, Sean and I will get with you. It might just be me, but we'll get with you. We'll have you on the show. We'll try to have all y'all on. So thanks for being here, boss. And I got crap for it because I always talked about it, but I loved the vamp. For me, that was the only Vampirella story that I really dug was the vamp. There was something about that
Is that the one where they
1940.
kicked up the gore just a tad?
They did, but she was like it was like she was set in the 40s.
That might be the one I'm talking about then.
I really dug that one.
That might be the one I'm talking about because I thought it was Vampirella Year One. But when I went back and started reading them, I'm like, no, this wasn't it. So maybe it is the vamp. Was that about 2 years ago?
I think so because I remember reading it for in stores this week.
And I think you were the one that got me onto it. So that might be the one.
Yeah, because I
I'll
know
have to check that out and see if I can find the. Because if I start rereading it, I know I'll remember it.
yeah, like that's the one where Kyle and Kyle and Dan would make fun of me because I'd be like, this Vampirella story is okay, but you know which one was better, and I wish they would use the Project Superpowers one was actually pretty good too because I think they took kind of part of that Vamp storyline and mixed it with the Project Superpower stuff. I kind of like that one. That's the one where she owned like a bar or something, and she had like an assistant. So I like that one, but there's a lot of Dynamite stuff, and I'm going to be honest, and I've told Nick and then this before. There's a lot of other stuff that I'm just not really into. But when they started doing the Hanna Barbera stuff, that's and the Disney stuff. That's when I was like, okay, I really like this because I tell you this, Space Ghost is still by far my favorite thing that they've done, and that's because that's a character that I missed out on as a kid. All the other Hanna Barbera stuff I was into. Like I can't wait till we get Wacky Races to see what they do with that. But Space Ghost really like hit it for me. David Pepos did an awesome job, and I'm also super excited to finally read Captain Planet. I was a big fan of that cartoon as a kid, and again, David's a fantastic writer too. So
They're bringing out a new Captain Planet, or are they talking about the old one?
it's a newer one. This one's got like a beard.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, David Pepos, who was doing Space Ghost, is doing that one too. So I'm really interested to see where he takes that character.
Well, I'll be totally honest with you. I was big into Sonya and Vampy, and when they started doing that stuff with the renumbering and the starting over, it turned me off because I didn't know where I was anymore. I
Yeah,
mean, if you're reading Spider-Man and you know that you were reading 420, 421's your next issue. You don't have to go looking for what new series of Vamp did what. And I missed a lot of the I don't remember what it was called, but it was the one where she was with Dracula, and it was just like last year. I missed out on that one because I just couldn't get into it again.
yeah.
What was it called with her and Dracula? I can't remember. Nah,
Oh goodness, like
I can't remember. Like I said, there's been so many.
I know it. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about, though.
It's like every 5 or 6 issues they start over with a new title,
Yeah,
and it just gets too hard to, for my old brain anyway.
trust me. And then now we got Mars Attacks, or no,
Unholy? Is that what it was called?
yeah, Dracula and Holy,
Okay, yeah, okay.
something like that. Yeah, uh, we're gonna have Red Sonja attacks Mars. I almost got it wrong because they had a Mars attacks Red Sonja. Now it's Red Sonja attacks Mars. One that they are doing is that I'm excited for is Red Sonja and Ash. Dude, to me, Ash Williams from Evil Dead is like the Turtles. You can put him with any character, and I'm gonna love the book.
So is it Evil Dead Sonia?
That would, dude, you should have named the book because I don't think that's what it's called.
That sounds awesome. Evil Dead Sonia.
Dude, you, I'm gonna have to remember that for Monday. So if we or whenever we finally get Dynamite books on the show, I know it's been a while. Once we get them, that show's gonna be crazy. Um, I'm not looking forward to it, but I'm kind of wanting it to get here so I can get it over with. When we show that book, I'm going to remember that so I can be like, Ed has a better name for this comic.
Nice.
Evil Dead Sonia. That is perfect, dude. That is perfect. Hold on. Okay. So, next one I got is kind of Superman adjacent, but it's something I really really
Bizarro?
well. It's amalgam where you have I think they just call him Super Soldier, but he's right there. He's a mix
Uh,
of Captain
Captain
America and
America.
Superman with a Superman shield, like as an actual shield. And of course, naturally, that's where we get like Dark Claw, which is one of actually my favorite amalgam characters. But it's really cool. This is where they take the DC and the Marvel universe and they mash them up. This is the DC collection. Um, at one of the stores, so I have two big gets I want to end up getting at a store called Fat Ogre. They have the new like hardcover compendium that's like that freaking thick of the amalgam stuff all collected. It's like $150, so I'm working towards getting that.
I want to go there just because the name of the store is Fat Ogre. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, like they have some great
D and
like
D stuff.
yeah, it's mainly a game store. Like it's very strange, the store. So when I first moved here, uh, there was a video store and something else next to this gas station. Then later on, the video store went away and Fat Ogre Comics was there. And in that spot is where Jenna, because Jenna's the one who introduced me to Fat Ogre Comics. Jenna was going there. This is way before we met. And then they knocked the wall out in the building next to him became a little bit bigger. I'd still never stepped foot in it. I just knew it was there. Then they moved about 10 or 15 minutes away from us. And they were there for the longest time. And then recently, in the same strip mall, they moved down. They moved down, they downsized everything. So it's a place that I would take people to look, but it's more of a game shop. But they do have some great trades there. Like there's not a whole lot of back issues. It's more newer stuff that they have. They might have like issue 5 or 6 of something, but it's mainly newer stuff they carry on their walls. So hold on, what is this?
I'm coming in to say, hi, peoples. Hello. Also, look what Sean got.
Yes, I was telling them about that.
This is Superman Day cover. Okay.
With some extra stuff.
With some extra stuff. Here you go.
No, you can go ahead and take it back. I already showed them the.
Oh, okay. Because we had to run to Walmart because HEB doesn't carry his food when we get milk and stuff. So.
Okay.
I love you. Hi, Ed.
Love you
Bye,
too.
Ed. Love you, Ed.
Jenny. Bye, Jenny. See you later. Very much.
Love you, Ed.
Love you too. Mwah.
Aw,
Kissy face.
Jeez.
don't be jealous.
Nope.
husband.
Nope. Said hey.
Hi, now. Bye, now. Anybody else in the chat?
Maybe, but chat's behind. So.
Oh, no.
Civil War says hi.
You're rude, okay? I'm over here being sweet and nice because I've been sick the last 2 days, and now you're being rude.
Would you expect anything else very much?
No. Thank
All right,
you.
then.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Sweet.
Goodness.
No, Kitty, that's a bad Kitty.
Jeez. So then at the other store, the Adventure Begins, where we went for the majority of our actual Superman Day shopping. They have a John Byrne Volume 1 of his Man of Steel stuff that's like, oh, it's a thick book. Can't wait. Working towards getting those. Let's see. Next up, I got just a random Batman versus Superman, The Greatest Battles. I cannot remember what this collects. There's just quite a few stories in there, old and new. So you got all different kinds of. It's been a while since I cracked this open, I can tell. But, like, you got some of your newish art there, and then skip ahead a little bit, then you got back to the. Let me get the camera position right. There we go. You got the older style.
I never understood the obsession with having Superman versus Batman. Is it just because it's their biggest two titles? Because in a real competition, there wouldn't be one.
Well, it's like they always say, who could win in a fight, who could win in a race, depends on who's writing the story. Because, according to most people, with enough prep time, Batman can take out everybody. That's most people's headcanon. Enough prep time, Batman can take out everyone. Then I have a Countdown to Infinite Crisis book. This is Superman's Sacrifice. Now, what's super dope about this book is got Maxwell Lord in it. Maxwell finds a way to control Superman. Superman believes he's fighting Darkseid in like a boxing match or something. Come to find out, he's just beating the hell out of Batman. He ends up confronting Maxwell Lord, and Wonder Woman follows to help him. Well, Maxwell convinces him, he's controlling him, gets him to fight Wonder Woman. And Wonder Woman decides that the only way to stop Lord is to kill him. So, huge spoilers, but still read the story. This is basically the death of Maxwell Lord. And the biggest thing I remember from Maxwell Lord is the fact that he's the one who killed the original Blue Beetle, Ted Kord. That's the main thing I remember about Maxwell Lord. Yeah, I don't understand it either. Like, there's World's Finest to me was always better. Like, we had the Dark Knight Returns. Not everything needs to be Dark Knight Returns. That's an Elseworld story that was done. It was, it was cool for its time, but after that, I'm the same way. It was like I don't want Batman and Superman fighting. Like, unless it's something along the lines of this where it's mind control. Like the two of them actively trying to fight, I've never really been a huge fan of either. But like when it's something like mind control, I get it. And Corey, that's definitely fair enough. They do have some great villains, some very underutilized villains. They have like we talked about it yesterday. It's with some of these characters having such great rogues galleries, especially Batman. Why have we only seen you know the same ones over and over and over again? As much as I like Joker, I'm kind of like Batman's got more villains than just Joker. Let's give somebody else. Same thing with Superman. I would love to see Brainiac, and who knows? Again, I haven't seen the movie yet. Only the people at test screenings have, so who knows what they're going to do with that movie. But I'd
That
like to see some other characters.
that is one thing that I'll give to Sony and Marvel. With as many times as they've restarted Spider-Man, we weren't getting the same villains every time.
True.
Because that was something that we were getting with Batman, and I didn't understand it. It's like, how many times do we need to see Batman take on the Joker? I mean, every iteration of Batman takes on the Joker.
Yep.
Let's move on to something else, which is why I got so excited when The Batman was based around this new reality-based Riddler who didn't dress with question marks, but did everything in riddles, so it made sense. And God, I love that movie. I know I've said it a billion times, but I love that Batman movie.
Oh, dude, I thoroughly enjoy it. I'm just
The Penguin's right there too, brother. Have you
I
seen it?
need I need to watch
Oh
that.
God, if you ever do, we can talk about that if you want, because that's a fun show to talk about.
Yeah, I definitely want to watch it and talk about that. And I'm gonna have to rewatch Daredevil because I've probably already forgotten most of the season, and that's not because the season to me hasn't been great. It's just my memory with things is terrible. Uh,
Well, I was so focused on Reacher that I forgot about Daredevil.
yeah,
I was so anticipating that finale and the fight with, you know, oh, Polly. Oh my God, if I'd have forgot, I'd had to punish myself by watching it 10 times tonight.
oh no,
But yeah, I have to figure out. I think Nope said I was on, almost said issue. Episode 4 was where I left off on Daredevil.
yeah,
So I'm gonna have to pick that back up. Is it officially over now?
yeah, it's over. They had the season finale
And
this
is there gonna
past.
be a 2?
Oh yeah, dude, they announced season 2 a while back, and it's gonna be like I said for those who might not know. So when they first were gonna do this show, they were planning on dropping all the episodes, but it was going to be 18 episodes.
Ooh.
And then when they restructured it, they cut it in half. So we got this 9 episodes. That's why we're getting season 2 in March of next year. Instead of like a lot of streaming shows where you get one season and 2 years later, here's another one. Or, like Stranger Things where it's like 5 years between one set of the seasons. So we're getting the season 2 relatively quick. I know somebody's like, dude, it's still next year. I was like, I get that, but relatively quick. Like, so, and trust me, when I can't remember if it was Corey that said it or somebody else said it, but it felt like a mid series finale. The Daredevil episode did, but for me, again, such a brutal episode. Like, oh, I don't think it was Corey now that I think about it because I don't think Corey had watched it yet. Corey, correct me if I'm wrong, man. I'm sorry. I get, I forget, man. I'm forgetful. But somebody said it on one of the shows, but I
It
can't
might have
remember
been
which one.
John, because I remember John talking about it.
It might have been. I thought it was somebody in the chat. I don't think it was Corey now that I think about it because I don't think Corey's watched it yet. I don't remember.
I
I
don't
don't.
either.
But Phantasm. Oh, dude, I loved that movie as a kid.
Are you talking about with the flying ball?
No, 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 no. Okay, Corey. Yeah, I didn't think so, Corey. Like after I said it, I was like, wait a second, I don't think Corey's watched it. Uh no, I think Mask of the Phantasm
Oh,
because
okay.
we were talking about Batman. Well, if mine wasn't like a single letter, I'd probably forget it too. That's not even my government name. Uh, Two Face is a great character too. But yeah, somebody said it felt, and I agree with them. It felt like a mid season kind of ending. Like it might make some people mad, but for me, I'm like, seeing how they took the 18 episodes and cut it in half, it made sense to me. There's not a resolution, is what I'll say. I'll say that. That's as spoilery as I'll get for anybody who hasn't watched it yet. Uh, let's see. The last two things I have is this is part of the Dark Side War. It's a Justice League book. This is one that, man, I'm gonna have to reread. I know I've read it, but it's been so long since I have. But I probably just grabbed this because it was Justice League. Well, yeah. Mask of the Phantasm. Yep, Mask of the Phantasm, the cartoon movie. That was, I want to say, the first technical DC animated movie. In the, I think when you look up the DCAU stuff, I want to say they list Mask as the first one. But again, I could be 100% wrong. So last thing I got to show off is this Justice League Volume 1 Origin. I'm pretty sure that this was like in the section of comics at Walmart. Uh, Check the back here. Yeah, it was a section that comes with in the back of the book a what is it, Blu-ray? Yeah, Blu-ray DVD of the cartoon Justice League War. And I want to also say that this one, since Jim Lee did the art on it, when he was down here with Dan Didio, I always mess the dude's name up, for Houston Strong, which I got that Justice League Day. That's what it was. I got that comic somewhere. I brought this and a couple other things we got him and Dan to sign, but this was fun. Like I said, it's one of those that comes with the movies in the back. I want to say that I have Batman Dark Knight Returns. That was the same deal where it had like movies in the back of it.
Batman the Animated Series came out September of '93, and The Mask of the Phantasm came out in December of '93. So it's the first major film, but it's the second production. Did you hear me?
Yeah, I was so. It, so now I got to figure out what was the first DC animated movie then, because that's what I'm trying to remember.
The first DC animated movie is Mask of the Phantasm.
Okay, so it is Mask of the Phantasm is the first DC animated universe
Movie,
Okay.
right. It came out just after the animated series, like 3 months later. And then after that one was Batman Mr. Freeze and Sub-Zero. And then it was Return of the Joker, The Mystery of the Batwoman, and then it goes on from there.
Yep.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to read them all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing I was trying to remember, because I know when you look up the DC animated universe, but when they say the animated universe, sometimes they mean they're talking about the movies. So I know that's kind of confusing. But yeah, I was pretty sure that I'd read that it was Mask of the Phantasm that started that, because then that's when you get into like Crisis on Two Earths and the Flashpoint Paradox, which is one of my personal favorite Flash cartoon movies. Justice League War, Justice League Dark, all that stuff. Superman, Man of Tomorrow.
It says here that the DCAU considers Mask of the Phantasm to be a continuation of Batman the Animated Series.
Mm. Yeah, because I think that was done in the same Bruce Timm style. Because I think Bruce Timm was behind it actually. So pretty sure that he was a big part of the beginning of that animated movie stuff.
Yeah, yeah, they've really had their handle on the animated stuff. Their animated movies are fantastic.
Again, I said it last night. I've never understood how when you have a blueprint like that, like granted you didn't have to make it a one-to-one copy, but I'm like you have a blueprint for what these some of these stories should be. Why was it never used?
I
Like
don't know.
like I don't know. It was one of those things. Being a DC fan. Here's the thing: being a DC and a Marvel fan, and just a comic book fan in general, it was really hard when movies started coming out. That you know, here was the DC stuff coming out, and I was all excited. I was like, oh, cool. Now I get Marvel movies, I get DC movies, and then the DC stuff was just it was panned like by critics, by fans. It wasn't there's that whole theory about Marvel fanboys and this, and now it's DC fanboys that, and it's like, well, it didn't resonate with a lot of people. Like I was into it, but I get it. I've always said that people don't have to like the same stuff I do. There's plenty of stuff I like that nobody else likes, and that's fine. But it just got sad to a point where it was like it felt like DC could do the same things that Marvel movies do, but people would call out the stuff DC did, but it was okay if they did it in the Marvel movie. Like here, a thing I talked about before, and I've never actually brought this up to Dan. So if Dan watches this, he can let me know. There was that rumor about how Amazons were actually Kryptonians or something like that. And Dan was like, that's dumb. And I was like, well, you know that if you look up MCU canon stuff, Thor's an alien. Thor and them aren't gods; they're aliens. They literally say, you humans thought of us as gods. Asgard is a planet in the MCU. So my question was always like, so does that bother people too? Or does it only bother people because they don't like Zack Snyder? Like, I've always been about keeping the same energy with things. If there was somebody who thought the scene in Aquaman with the octopus drumming was the dumbest thing they ever saw, but in the same breath, they were like, at the end of Ant-Man and Wasp, when the giant ant is playing on the drums, they thought that was the funniest thing they ever saw. So I mean, it's a weird thing. I'm always like I just like the movies. Maybe I'm just a shill for both companies. Maybe that's what it is. Like I can point out and criticize and nitpick things I don't like, but for the most part, I like most of the stuff that comes out.
Well, that's because we didn't grow up in a time where fantastic superhero movies were abundant. We grew up in a time where you were lucky to see your favorite hero on the worst god awful movie ever made, and you were still happy just to be able to see that hero.
That's
And I
true.
think a lot of people forget that sometimes. Like the worst stuff that come out today is better than any of the stuff we had in the 70s and 80s.
True. I mean, I don't see it as we need to settle. Like nowadays, movie quality should be better than it was back then. Writing quality should be better than it was back then. But at the same time, it's watch things first. I know people keep telling me don't watch Madam Web, but I hadn't seen it. I want to watch it, even if it is terrible, just so I can be like, I watched it.
Did you?
I haven't watched it yet. It's on the list. I'm behind on so many things.
Well, you can put that behind everything else. Just watch it last. When you reach the end of the internet, then watch out.
Yeah, Corey, I'm not big on saying people are miscast for things. For me, Ezra Miller was definitely miscast as Barry Allen. He was. There was not a whole lot, but there are certain parts of that movie where I start to kind of like him, and then he just kind of flips the switch. I'm like, yeah, I still don't. I tried to give him a shot. I gave him a shot with Justice League. Just wasn't a fan of his take. Wasn't a fan of the weird ice speed skating running style he had. You know,
The fact that
so
he looks like Jimmy frickin' Fallon.
the Fallon thing that Ed brought up that I can no longer not ever see, just like the Superman leg I'm never not going to see anymore.
Imagine that leg on Jimmy Fallon. Your mind is blown.
Oh
Boom.
goodness, goodness.
You're
But
welcome.
I'm the same way. I'm hoping that I have a feeling that James Gunn is going to stray away from Wonder Woman and Flash for now. We are going to get a Batman, I believe, before we get the other ones. But then again, that's me speculating. That's me just saying that's what I think. There's rumors out there that we might be getting the Batman in some capacity in the Superman movie. I don't know because we kind of got a flash of him in Creature Commandos, and I don't know if that's the design they're going to go for, the look they're going to go for. He almost looked like absolute Batman in that. I liked
I,
Shazam
I
a
like
lot
Shazam
more.
too.
I like the second one. I don't like as much, but I didn't dislike it. If that makes any sense. Like I didn't like it as much. But again, I'm not a huge fan of the Shazamly. I'm more of a just Shazam.
Yeah, they got to the everybody having superpowers thing way too fast.
Yeah,
But I
and
liked both the Shazam movies, and I also thought it was pretty clever having the cameo of Superman at the end where it met him in the cafeteria.
yep,
I thought that was great.
yep. And you know what? Against everyone, I really enjoyed Black Adam.
Haven't saw it.
I, Sean and I've watched it quite a few times. I've watched it quite a few times on my own. I enjoy it. I think the Hawkman, Doctor Fate, like the whole team, the whole JSA that's in there. It's Cyclone, Atom Smasher. They had Henry Winkler cameo as the original Atom Smasher, which was kind of fun. Uh, Hawkman's design was cool. Doctor Fate, though, man, that's one of the things that I'm really sad about is we're not going to get that Doctor Pierce Brosnan as Doctor Fate was just so dope. Now, granted, he took the helmet off quite a few times, and it kind of looked like an Iron Man hood, but I really enjoyed it. I didn't get the dislike for it. I understand though that I'm not sure what The Rock was thinking, not wanting to show up in Shazam or have a fight with Shazam. He wanted to go straight to Superman, and that's where we got this whole deal about Henry Cavill shows up at the end of that movie. We get
Hmm.
the Superman theme, the brighter suit, the spit curl. Then soon after that, he makes that announcement about how he's back and he's so excited about what's coming. But again, I don't know the ins and outs in Hollywood. Everyone says that he wasn't given a contract. I don't know who told him to announce that he was back, but we have Gunn and Saffron take over. We've learned recently that Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi, I might have those names mixed up. had actually hired Gunn in secret months before they were announced to be heads at DC to write a Superman movie. So Henry Cavill was already not in it. So whoever told him, I don't know if it was The Rock or his own team or whoever told him, announce that you're back. Henry got a raw deal. I don't blame Gunn for that one bit. Like it's not Gunn's fault. I know a lot of people feel differently than that, and that's okay. But in my personal opinion, I don't blame Gunn for that. I was a salty person that we didn't get Henry Cavill at first. I'm not 100% on David, but I can't be because I haven't seen his Superman yet. So I can't make a decision on. Of course, again, y'all, I don't know how to explain how much of a mark for Superman I am. He might be the weakest, but I bet I'll still like him. Like I'm telling you now, I'm betting everyone right now, I'm still gonna like whatever he does. I feel he's got the look. Uh, I've seen little of his acting though. Like I didn't see enough in Pearl. Jenna watched Twisters, the second Twister movie, which wasn't that bad, but never gonna beat Bill Paxton, Helen Hunt Twister. But he was in that movie for a little bit.
If you can watch the Kirk Allen Superman and enjoy it, I'm sure you're going to love this movie because the Kirk Allen is just way out there.
Now I'm trying to remember if the Kirk Allen one was the one where when he flew, they turned him into a cartoon.
Yes.
That's what. Okay,
Yes.
that's what I remember most from that.
Whenever he would jump, he turned into a cartoon.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, that's what I remember most from that. That's what sticks out in my mind. Is that
him and that goofy smile that he would give.
well, take care, Corey, man. Hope you have a great night.
Later, Corey.
Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, like I said, and then it's just it feels like to me that everything's flip flopped. Because I remember when Snyder was first announced to be director of Man of Steel, there were so many people against it without seeing the movie, without seeing a single scene. And now it feels flipped. Now it feels like there's people overly behind it, but also people that are like, well, not to get political, but when it's this wasn't my guy, I'm going to hate it. We're going to live in hell for the next 4 years. And then when it's the other side's person, it's like, everything's great now. It kind of feels like that when it comes to stuff like this. Like now people don't want to give Gunn a chance because, well, y'all didn't give Zack Snyder a chance. Or, well, this movie's going to bomb because it's not Snyder. And it's like, dude, Snyder did 3 movies. Like the Snyderverse technically is Superman, BVS, which he didn't even want to do at first. He didn't want to put they made him put Batman in the second movie. And then Justice League. Like that's all technically what the Snyderverse is those. So again, as this is coming from a Snyderverse fan, the fact that we have people that are like, if it's not live action, if it's not Snyder, it's nothing. We don't want anything. It's kind of like, but what about the people that are excited for it? Like, you don't have to like everything, folks, and that's what I always try to tell people. It's in my own videos, I try to tell people, let's be civil. We don't have to all like the same thing, but you also don't have to really just like act like you hate somebody because they don't like the same stuff you do. I happen to like both. I just know we're not getting the Snyder stuff anymore. It's over. It's done.
And you can't hate something you haven't seen yet.
I
You can hate the idea of it. You can be mad that it's not Cavill anymore. All that stuff's all valid, but you can't say the movie sucks when no one's seen it yet.
we're going off of clips. We're going off a teaser. We're the behind the scenes stuff. Like I can get it if you look at that stuff and you're like, this stuff doesn't excite me. I can understand things like that. But for the folks that are like, this movie's going to flop, nobody's going to watch it, blah, 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 it's not true. I mean, we're just going to have to see, honestly. We're going to
I
have to
can't
see.
I can't believe it, so many people are fixating over his eye in that picture. And it's like, people, have you ever made a video of yourself and saw yourself pause at the wrong moment? We can all make some pretty stupid faces.
I do it on a consistent basis.
It's just like, come on. I mean, maybe he will suck. Who knows? But why worry about it 5 months early?
Well,
Go
again,
into it trying to enjoy it.
well, like I've said plenty of times already, if you're not into it by now, you're not going to be into it. So why waste your energy trying to get people that are into it not into it? What that energy could be spent doing something else, like you know, uplifting someone else, something else that you are excited for. Like, say you're a person that you're not excited for Superman, but Fantastic Four is your thing. Go support that. You know, I tell people all the time, if you are just loving the Superman movie, if you're somebody that believes it's going to make $3 billion or something like that, something crazy like that, awesome. Leave the people who don't want anything to do with it alone, and vice versa. If you're not into Superman, leave the folks that are loving it and that are enjoying it, and they're like, "Oh, we haven't had a decent Superman movie since '78," you know, or what have you. Just anybody like me. I haven't had a Superman movie. I don't count BVS as a Superman movie. That's just Batman versus Superman. That's not, to me, a Superman movie. I haven't had one since 2013. I've been waiting forever for a Man of Steel 2 or just now any Superman movie. And it's taken this long to get there. So I'm going to be excited about it. And if people want to say that I'm a fake fan because I'm excited for somebody that's not Henry Cavill when I was a huge Henry Cavill fan, then so be it. Like, the opinion of somebody saying someone's a fake fan doesn't mean anything to me anymore. That gets thrown around so much. If you look, anytime James Gunn drops a picture, or even Snyder, when Zach drops a picture, I hate to say this, but look at their comments. It's half and half. It's not even, you know, it's not even one side overwhelms the other. It's half and half of, oh, this movie looks stupid. This movie looks great. I love the suit. I hate the suit. The dog looks stupid. I love the dog.
Mm.
Snyder ruined this. Snyder made it better. Snyder did this. Snyder did that. Like, that's all it is. Like, nobody's going to convince the other side of anything. So why? Why are we going into video comments of people that obviously love the Snyderverse, want nothing to do with the new DCU, and then try to argue with those people? And why are we going into the people that are all on board for the DCU? Why are we arguing with people? It should be, it's not for me. I don't think it's going to be for me. Nothing excites me. Fine. That's all it should be. But people are constantly, and it's not just one side. Trust me, folks. Like, everybody wants to say Snyder cultist, Snyder cultist. I'm telling you, it's not just one side. It's both sides that go out and actively attack other folks. And it's not everybody, but that's also on both sides. Again, Snyder fan here, but also excited for the DCU and excited to see what James Gunn does. I just want people to be excited about Superman. And if you're not, then you're not. But let me and the folks that are, let us be excited. That's all. Like, that's all I'm asking. I know that's a big ask of the internet. I 100% get that. Nobody's going to get along. That's just how it is. But I would hope that people that come into my chat know that they can have an opinion that's different from me, and I'm not going to jump down their throat. And nobody in my chat's going to jump on them. I just want everybody to feel like they can come here and talk. That's the whole point of this channel. Is I want people to be able to talk to each other and realize, hey, you don't like this thing that I do? Cool. We can still hang out and have a good time. Like, that's the whole point. And if that doesn't happen, then part of me is like, there's no reason for me to do this if that's how it's going to be, where people just don't get along and fight. And that doesn't happen very often here. Okay, I'm not saying that. Like my chat, my folks in the chat, my friends on screen, they're always usually pretty chill and they listen to other people's opinions about stuff. And I appreciate that. Like I love that we can do that here. That's how I want it to be everywhere. But if this channel could be one of those small little corners that can be that for people, then that's all I ever want. I don't need to have a monetized channel. I don't need to, you know, be paid to do this. This is just something I love doing. So
In the end, if the fans are happy, we're all winners.
exactly. And then Robbie comes in and tears my ass up about that.
I will never forget that. That was one of the funniest moments of the year so far.
Oh yeah.
You made such an innocent comment, and that boy handed you a can of whoop ass
He
that I
did.
haven't seen since Stone Cold did it to The Rock, baby.
I know.
He let you have it.
Every time somebody brings it up, I tell them, I say, "Hey man, you stole me dinner for that pounding I got." Like, but
You
it's
know,
all in fun though. It's like
great.
there
I
are
kind
people
of
up there.
understand. I can understand why the Snyder people are so upset because that version of Justice League was setting up for something big with Dark Side and that kind of like the MCU did with Thanos, and now they're not going to get that, and I can understand that, but at some point you have to realize it's not going to happen. Let it go and either move on or live indignant and despising everything new Superman. I mean, what else can you do? I mean, I get it. It's not on the same level, but I'm still pissed that they canceled Paper Girls because I watched the first season, really liked it. They ended it on a cliffhanger, and forget it. It's done. Like, what? You ain't even going to give it a second season? But oh well.
Yeah.
But I dug what Snyder did. I mean, I don't understand why Superman would pick a black suit. I don't know what the relevance of that is. But I love the lines that he had in the Snyderverse when
It's
he freezes the axe and not impressed and
yeah.
just and then he barrel kicks that dude.
It's a
Steppenwolf.
regeneration suit.
Oh, okay.
At least in the comics, when he comes back, that's what they put him in, as a black suit to help. Oh man, it was something. It was something to do with
So
the solar
because dark
energy.
colors absorb more of the light.
Yeah, I think that's what it
That
was.
makes sense. That makes sense. But to just write off everything future Superman over that seems a little much.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people that didn't like Henry's portrayal, and again, I get that, but the thing is, he really wanted to be the beacon of hope, but Henry didn't get to write his own part. He,
Right.
he had to do what was given.
And you mentioned this yesterday too. I think Brandon Routh gets a big screw job. I liked that movie. I thought it was fine, and it was supposed to be a direct sequel to Superman 2.
Yeah.
That's why Lex Luthor was still obsessed with real estate. It's
Land.
not. Yeah, it's what he was about in the previous episode.
Yeah.
So episode? Yes, I got that right. Okay. But yeah, they always want to complain about something. And I catch a lot of crap for liking that movie, but I don't care. I'm not ashamed that I like it. I like it. It's a fun
Yeah.
movie. And the biggest reason why I like it is because it reminded me of when I was a kid. Because you know what Viewmasters are, right?
Hmm.
That whole scene with him in the plane, that was right out of one of my Viewmasters that I had when I was a kid that I used to watch over and over and over again. Was Superman saving a plane that had got hit by lightning and having to land it in a baseball stadium.
Yep.
So when they put that in the movie, I was a kid. I was like, "Oh my god, that's like right out of my."
No. I
And
don't
I
know.
was really bummed we didn't get another one with him because I thought he was fine.
Same. Same. Now, I keep saying that I love everything Superman. I haven't watched all of it yet, but I've seen clips of The Death of Superman Lives. that was done by the late great John Schnepp, and it was basically talking about Tim Burton's version of Superman that was going to have Nicolas Cage as Superman.
Oh, okay.
Superman or Nicolas Cage, humongous Superman fan. I think at one point he owned a copy of Action Comics #1 that got stolen from him. Even named one of his kids Kal-El. Like, dude loves Superman. Probably even more than I do. He was gonna play him. I've seen bits and pieces of that. You want to talk about a suit I didn't like? Whew, definitely didn't like that suit. Very, very strange. Clark had long hair.
Which
And
was weird.
he was wearing a Mickey Mouse shirt underneath a sports coat. Like it looked weird. But it's still one of those things where I'm like, in an alternate universe,
Oh,
we got that movie.
just love pushing my buttons.
Oh, I said the word. I didn't realize.
No, you're fine. I thought it was deliberate. I'm like, yeah, I like how you
No,
snuck that in there. Boom.
no, that was undeliberately funny.
From what I saw about Nicolas Cage, I don't think we missed anything by not having that movie. That looks terrible.
I know. And then
Was that in The Flash? Is that where that?
where
Yeah.
the whole thing about the spider was, I can't remember who the person was that was producing it or whatever. They wanted Superman to have like these guard polar bears at the Fortress of Solitude. They wanted him to fight a big mechanical spider. I think Kevin Smith actually wrote a treatment for it. I
Mm.
think Kevin Smith is the one that was talking about this, and that's why later on in the Wild Wild West, that's why we get the big mechanical spider in that movie, because the same person that wanted it in Superman was one of the folks behind the Wild Wild West with Will Smith.
Hmm.
Well, that's why the giant mechanical spider's in that movie. And then you get the Flash, where it shows the Nicolas Cage version of Superman fighting a giant spider. There's just so many things that, like, I mean, what if? Just what if? What if, Michael Keaton had come back for the third Batman movie? Like, you know,
See, I like Val Kilmer's Batman too. A lot of people laugh at that also, but I thought he did all right.
yeah.
The only one I didn't care for was Clooney. Clooney was terrible.
And even Clooney himself, like, feels bad. Like, he basically said that he didn't really give it his all and all this other stuff.
It
And
shows.
yeah, and then for him to show up at the end of Flash was
Oh
like,
yeah.
I don't the whole Flash movie was a disappointment, not only because the PS2 graphics. I know they couldn't show. They could have at least used archival footage. I've seen the great things people have done with archived footage for movies. They could have at least done something, especially with the Christopher Reeves Superman and the Helen Slater Supergirl. They could have used some kind of archive footage for that. But the whole thing got chopped up. There was supposed to be, you know, you get to the end of the movie and it's Supergirl, Michael Keaton Batman, Henry Cavill Superman, all there. And then that got cut. Ben Affleck had some stuff that he was supposed to be doing, like in the Aquaman movie that got cut, which I still haven't seen the Lost Kingdom. So I'm behind on even DC movies.
So I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
If Jimmy Fallon hadn't have been in so much trouble prior to the movie, does that movie still fail?
I think so.
Okay, I was just curious because I know he got a lot of negative press. I can't think of his real name.
Ezra Miller.
Ezra Miller.
Yeah. I think it does. there was something about the way he played Barry that just didn't sit right with a lot of folks. Uh, the I think the costume that he got in that movie was kind of a bit better than the one he had for Justice League. Not by much, though. It was an interesting take.
I do like the scene where he's trying to attack Superman and sees Superman look at him though.
Oh, dude, I love
That scene was executed really well and he
yeah
did a good job with that. But overall, his that movie of just the Flash was just, it was
yeah.
weird.
It was supposed to be basically Flashpoint Paradox, and again, the animated. I really think the animated movie nailed it, nailed the tone, nailed everything. So instead of us
Which
giving,
animated movie?
it's called the Flashpoint Paradox.
I'll have to look that one up
Yeah, it's
because I like the DC animated stuff.
basically one night. Barry just runs. He's remembering something about his mother, and he just runs. And the next day, we find out he went back in time and saved his mom from being killed.
Huh.
And in doing that, it sends a ripple through the universe that pushes Clark's rocket trajectory to miss Smallville and go straight to Metropolis. So he's captured and kept out of the sunlight. Uh, Bruce is the one that gets killed in the alley, and his mom becomes the Joker, and his dad becomes Batman.
Well, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, like the Atlanteans and the Amazons are at war with each other. Like it's fantastic. Like it's a great movie. It is so good. So you get the Thomas Wayne Batman. Yeah, yeah. Flashpoint is almost shot for shot panel. It's again they had the blueprint with the comic and with the animated movie. I wish they. I mean, there are certain scenes in the Flash movie that are pretty much the same, and I really enjoyed Sasha Kaye as as Supergirl. It's unfortunate that that was the movie that she was in. Like she was so excited when she got announced for Supergirl, and then that universe ended. I was kind of hoping that we could have kept, but I understand why they didn't. I was kind of hoping that we could have kept that as the Elseworlds, have James Gunn's DCU, and they're going to have Elseworlds, and the only thing right now that's in Elseworlds is Batman, is the Reeves first. I don't think there's anything else in the Elseworlds stuff yet. But I was like, that would have been a way to finish it, or at least I don't know. I don't know because it's also that problem of, well, if you give those that side of the fandom what they want, when are they going to stop? Like, where are they going to stop at? They got the Snyder cut of Justice League, and it was like, okay, well, we got that. Let's see what else we could get. That's kind of the feeling that I got from it. It's like if there was a way to continue it to where it wouldn't be just such a war between the fandom, like the DC fandom is so fractured, it's not even funny. We're unfortunately becoming Star Wars at this point.
Hmm.
Nobody hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans. Like,
There's just something magical about that last name Reeves. George with Superman and Matt with Batman. I wonder if they're related. I might look into that and see if they are somewhere.
100% no. That's what it feels like sometimes. It's like,
That's
I
what she
would,
said.
yeah. I would have even been good with if we got comics or an animated movie. Have the actors come back, voice an animated movie just to finish out the saga. I would have been fine with that. But if you ask the people on that side that are so for it, it's no, it's live action or nothing. So kind of feels like DC and them chose nothing then.
I was hopeful that they would do a comic for Superman and Lois. And then when I read that Superman summer special, I was like,
Yeah.
kinda. But yeah, when they all had powers, I got confused there. I'm like, what? Who's this now?
Yeah.
But the whole story about Lana and Henry is like, that's like right out of Lois and Clark.
Yeah.
Or I mean, Superman and Lois.
Yeah.
Sorry. You knew what I meant.
Yeah. Yeah. I did. And that's another thing that I I really do wish we could have kept going with that. Like they were scheduled for 7 seasons. We only got 4, so they had to
Lois
chunk
and
it over.
Clark or Superman and Lois?
Superman and Lois. They were scheduled for they were going to do at least 7 seasons.
Yeah. If the only reason they canceled it was because of the movie, that's just irritating. Because that was a good show. When you got something good that people are watching, don't, you know. I understand you don't want to go too long and make people hate it because they do that with a lot of shows where it's just been on too long and it just needs to stop, like The Walking Dead. But yeah, that really sucked. They got ripped off. They should have at least had another season or 2.
Yeah,
At least. Because
I
that
mean,
last one, as good as it was, you could tell it was rushed.
yeah. Yeah, I mean even Smallville got a comic for a little while. And there was talks of near the end of Smallville they were going to transition and call it Metropolis. And then we were going to get more of that story. And then I was like, 10 years, 10 seasons for that show was more than enough. There was some filler episodes, there were some episodes that weren't as strong as other ones. The whole Phantom Zone escapees season kind of got a little it was kind of like almost a freak of the week situation where you had different people who escaped the zone, like the Phantoms were possessing different guest stars. Like Bow Wow was in an episode, Batista was in an episode. But they got a comic for a little while. I'm not sure how long that one ran, but and it was drawn in the style of the Smallville characters, and I would love for them to do something like that with Superman and Lois. Have Tyler Hecken and Bitsy and the kids and all that. But again, I don't know. I never get what drives them to make some of the decisions that they do in either company. To be completely honest, like there's DC is its own banner now, which like I'm happy about, but at the same time, it's like, is it is it just Gunn that gets to pick and choose what's getting done, or you know they have all the power? Him and Saffron do. I guess the only person they answer to is Zaslav. I don't know how to say his last name, but I don't know because there's things where this Superman movie. I believe Gunn when he says it's a Superman story. But again, I'm trying to figure out how he's going to showcase all these other because he said before in the past he's not into cameo porn, just to have people in a movie just to set up a next movie. But then we're being told that there's more than likely going to be a Supergirl cameo to set up Woman of Tomorrow that comes out next year. So I don't know. I'm excited for the new universe. Like I said, the only thing I haven't really been 100% on board with so far was Creature Commandos. And hey, Phable, what's going up? What's going
Sup,
up? What's
Phable?
going on? Yeet. Must be watching WrestleMania. That's a Jey Uso thing, I believe. You know, it was kind of funny. So Phable has the all new, all different Blame Fable show on Friday, and usually I have to miss it because Friday Night Live is on and I'm working during then. Well, before I knew that Sean and I were going to do a show last night on the experience, I was like, "Oh, cool. Okay, when I get done with the art show, I can go watch Fable show, live and be there the whole time." Well, then Wednesday night, Sean had the thumbnail made for the show, and Kyle was like, "I don't know if we're going to be, doing anything for Friday." And I was like, "Yeah, we are." I was like, "Okay." So maybe if I end early enough, because it won't be a 4.5 hour, 5 hour Hydra stream, I can jump over and catch Fable in them. So we got done at 1:45, I think, and I went over there and Fable's show had just ended. I was like, oh man, I missed it by maybe, I think it said streamed 5 minutes ago when I jumped on. So one of these days I'll be able to catch the show live, Fable, but um, I got it in my liked little save list so I can make sure that I get it I get it watched on the rewatch. Hold on just a second. Dog's going crazy. Jeez. Uh, but yeah, make sure y'all, if y'all haven't watched or caught any of the all new, all different Blame Fable show on Fridays at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, make sure you check him out. And again, like I said, I just saw that Stu from Dr. Doom's fan club hit 1,000 subs. Super excited for that. He released this awesome story that I knew nothing about, but it was a Superman Swamp Thing story. And Stu goes deep with his research. That's what she said. With his research on things. So it's an awesome video. Absolutely, Fable. It's got to eventually be a night where Friday Night Live isn't on though. That's the only issue. But I'd love to be there just to sit there and listen, just to listen to y'all because you got some great folks that are on there. I watch most of the folks that you usually have, but every time I watch them on your show or Robbie's show or whatever, I'm always interested to hear what they have to say. Hopefully, you had a good Superman day if you celebrated it. Um, yeah, this was exciting because it was the first one that Sean got to do. Now, granted, we went at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so by the time we got to comic shops, I don't even know what all was supposed to be out. I could have sworn that I saw there was going to be another Action Comics #1 reprint, and for me, I can never have enough of those. I love grabbing the reprints. Um, but outside of that, I think it was just the three free comics. I'll have to look it up, but yeah, it was a good day. We had a good show last night for a show that was just kind of thrown in there. Had some pretty good views. So then I was like, you know what, we're still gonna do a Superman Day after show for us. Like I said, Sean wasn't feeling all that great, or he would have been on tonight. They're also doing some shopping, get some stuff for the house. But yeah, showed off a whole bunch of stuff. So if you watch the first, I don't know, half hour on the rewind, you'll see a bunch of books and stuff. If there's something you haven't read, you know, I've read pretty much everything here except for the Superman for All Seasons, which I'm going to crack that open probably after the show. Uh, Not going to be as long as the show tonight as usual. I think I've said pretty much everything I could say, show about everything I could show without trying to find all my Superman stuff in the long boxes that are buried back here. But pause for the awkward silence because I gotta take a drink. My breath, my throat's getting scratchy. So Ed, is there anything you don't have to tell us? Is
Oh
there
boy.
anything you can tell us?
No,
No?
not yet.
Okay.
No, I'm. It's still a work in progress. It's just right now I don't have a lot of time to do that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
But yeah, there's some movement, but nothing earth shattering yet. Don't worry, you'll know when stuff comes out.
Oh yeah, I'll have that bell clicked and
I'm being too petty with the name and the song, and I just need to stop it.
bro, I 100% get where you're coming from with that, man. I I am my own worst critic when it comes to things. I don't know if you watched the unboxing video I did yesterday as well because I didn't know we were going to get we had two videos drop yesterday.
Yeah, I saw them both.
Yeah. I don't think people know how long that took me. Like I did that opening part of the unboxing video before I even recorded the unboxing. Ha, there we go.
Thanks, Fable.
Uh it took me forever. Like the actual unboxing and talking about the book didn't take near as long as it took me to try to get that opening for that video done. So believe me, I was still kind of like, man, I wanted to use a split screen, but the split screen wasn't one that just showed up. It was one that had like a transition to it, and I didn't like it. So then I was like, well, then I had to record myself sitting this far on one side, this far on the other, record myself talking to myself, then record parts where I'm just sitting there like this to splice in between some of that stuff so I could answer myself and then get it timed up just right to where I wasn't stepping on my stepping on myself trying to talk to myself. I must have spent like 2.5 hours just doing that little opening bit for that unboxing video.
See, more than likely when I start doing them, they're just going to be lives
Mm-hmm.
because I don't have time to sit and edit, and nor do I have, I'm sure I can figure it out because I can figure out most software pretty easy. I just don't have the time to sit and play and learn how to do all that stuff. Would I love to be able to have me talking with a picture of the comic here? Sure. Do I know how to do that right now? No. But what I can do is I can just do a live and hold the comic or have a picture of the comic or something. But because I have a bunch of boxes I haven't opened because I was going to try doing an unboxing video at some point. And I wish I would have thought to get some of my Superman stuff out for tonight, but I wasn't sure what all you were talking about because I could have had that Superman Spider-Man book. Because when it comes to just Superman, I'm limited. I mean, if you want to talk Superman and Lois, oh yeah. If you want to talk George Reeves, oh yeah. When you're talking Superman as a whole, yeah, I don't know as much as you might think I should. Because all I really know, I never really read any of the comics. It was only when you turned me on, you told me to go try Red Sun, that I tried Red Sun. And I was like, Jay, I loved it. What else? And then you told me Kingdom Come. I'm like, oh my God, I love that too. What's next? And then have you seen any of the animated stuff? And that took me down another trail of oh my God, because I love their animated stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the one where the Joker kills Robin, oh my Lord, that's an amazing little animated cartoon there.
Think that was
Good stuff.
Red Hood or Under the Red Hood.
I don't remember the name. But then I found Batman versus Dracula. Hello.
Yeah.
That was right up. I watched that for Halloween and loved it. But yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, and again, if it wasn't for the fact that I spend so much time like doing work stuff and planning. Jesus. And
I
planning.
hope that's the dog.
So it is. He's just shaking because he's getting
I was
ornery in here.
I was just being dumb.
So, planning stuff for work that when it comes to my own lives, I'm like very last second sometimes about what I'm doing. So like I can have a thumbnail and an idea, but it's me passing that idea to the people I bring on. Like, hey, let me let you know beforehand what we're going to be doing. No, I'm terrible at that. I'm terrible at doing that. I'm trying to get better though. Like I used to have like notes and all this other stuff to where I could keep kind of things on track, and then I realized that the notes I type up before I start the live disappears when I start the live. So I don't like there's a notepad in Restream to where you can kind of keep notes of things, but once you start the live, it disappears. So I don't like most of the time, most of what I do is off the top of my head. So
And I think that's how I'm going to do it, just until I learn how to edit. Because until I learn how to put a comic here with me here talking about it, I don't know how to do that yet.
yeah.
Now, is that in the recording software or is that in the editor software? Where would you do that at?
So like for here when I do it, it's when I just do the like when I just add the pictures in. Now when I like for my video the unboxing video I did, what it is you record, you get a timeline of your video here, and it has elements and images and things you can add, and all you do is you place the picture of what you want on top because it gives you different lines. So you place your picture of the comic on top of your video line, and then you just size it to where you want it, and that's how it shows up on screen. And then you can drag it down the timeline of your video to however long you want the book to be on screen. So,
You
so
do realize that there might come a day in the very near future where I'm like, Jay, when you get a day where you're bored, let's hook up and show me some stuff.
yeah, absolutely.
Are you wanting to wrap this up, or do you want to try a little fun thing that I just thought of?
Let's try a little fun thing that you just thought of.
Okay, let's fan cast the perfect Superman cast. From all of the characters we know, from all of the serials we watched, even the cartoons, let's fan cast. So number one, who's your Clark Kent?
Oh, my Clark Kent.
See, I'm ashamed of myself because a year ago I would have shouted out George's name without even thinking, but I got to go Tyler.
Damn. Hold on a second.
Uh-oh, I blew his mind.
Man, because I'm torn between, because Tyler, for me, like I've said, has so far become my favorite on-screen Clark and Superman. But man, if I don't love Tom Welling's Clark Kent.
Tom Welling, that's Clark's or Smallville, right?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I'm learning.
Oh goodness, yeah. Like it's so strange because I I I love Tom's Clark just about as much as I love Tyler's Clark. But at the same time, Tyler's Clark is more mature because he's the Clark that's in his 40s by
Uh-huh.
Earth years. And Tom is the used to get a new power every season, doesn't fly till the final, like, he flies sometimes, but it's like Kal-El flies.
He's probably older than Tyler.
Well, now he is.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Right now, let's fan cast.
Oh goodness, man.
Well, I didn't think I was going to stump you on the first one.
Dude, it's so like again, me loving so many of the character or so many iterations of Superman definitely doesn't make it easy.
Well, if it's going to cause you a brain cramp, we don't have to play this. I just thought it might be interesting to see what we come up with.
Because I'd want to do like Tom's Clark, but Tyler's Superman.
Yeah, that wouldn't work too well.
Yeah.
Unless you're giving a lot of power to a pair of glasses. All right, I got a copy of Action Comics 1, and I'm holding it at the centerfold, and I'm going to rip it in half if you don't give me an answer.
Then it would just be Tyler. Tyler all the
Okay.
way for both.
I knew I could get you to sway.
Yeah.
If I had to threaten Action Comics 1, so be it.
Yeah.
Okay, who's your Lois Lane?
Erica Durant's 100%.
And which one is she?
From Smallville.
Smallville? Is she the one that? No, that was Supergirl.
That's Laura Vandervoort that played Supergirl, and she was also in the Supergirl show as like one of the Brainiacs or Indigo. She was Indigo in Supergirl. So
You know, I've never seen any of Smallville, but she was an amazing looking Supergirl, whatever that girl's name was.
she was great. She was great.
So you're going with her
Er-
as
Yep. Erica Durant's from Smallville as Lois Lane.
I'm
And I
gonna go.
honestly
I'm gonna
think
go old school on you. I'm gonna go
Mhm.
old school on you. I'm gonna take Phyllis Coates.
Was that the second
Yep.
one?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
because I remember there was two for George.
Yep. Noelle Neal was in the first one with what's his face, and then she came back for like season 3.
Okay,
But and yes, it scares me that I know these names, but because they've probably died before I was even born. But anyways,
I think one of the Loises was the only person left alive from the George Reeves
it wouldn't
Superman.
surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me. If I had to go with a more modern one, I would have to go with Terry Hatcher for a couple reasons.
They're really more spectacular.
Absolutely.
Um,
And I actually thought she did a good acting. The what was her name? Bitsy Tulloch or whatever
Bitsy
from
Tulloch.
yeah. She was okay, but she overacted so many times that she reminded me of like if Captain Kirk was Lois Lane. Just
Um,
hit it too hard on the wrong syllable sometimes, and it just drove me crazy. But I
yeah,
absolutely despised Amy Adams. I thought she was terrible. I didn't like her at all. Kate Bosworth was okay. I mean, but she wasn't like fantastic or anything. I did like Terry Hatcher a lot, but if I'm gonna cast anybody, I'm gonna pick Phyllis Coates.
and see,
Oh,
I'm the opposite with you when it comes to Bosworth and Adams. I liked Adams a lot more than I liked Bosworth, but there was no chemistry with Henry's Superman.
zero chemistry, and I think that's see, and that's also not to get off topic,
Mhm.
but that's also why I didn't like Sony's choice of MJ with um uh
Zendaya
no
or Kirsten Dunst.
yes Dunst.
Okay.
There was no chemistry there, and she didn't act like she knew how to act. Not to mention that she always had to be showing her junk off, which in most movies doesn't bother me, but that's not what Spider-Man's about. Don't
No.
don't do that. That whole wet t-shirt scene was just so unnecessary. As everyone boos in the chat and flips me off for saying that, but Noelle Neal would be a good one too. I liked her too. But I'm gonna go with Phyllis Coates.
Yeah.
So Jimmy Olsen, are we gonna cast him or
Yeah, because I'm actually gonna go Smallville again.
you're gonna have me watching this Smallville, aren't you? That's your whole agenda
Yeah.
here.
The hardest thing is I can't tell you who it is because it would be a spoiler.
How would telling me who played him be a spoiler?
because it's not just one person, and there's a
There's
reason.
multiple Jimmy Olsens.
There's a reason for it. There's a reason for it though. So I don't want.
See, now you're
Yeah,
getting me here.
I don't want to spoil it. And what's funny is one of the people that they have. I'll spoil this part for you. It's twins.
Oh, okay.
One of them actually played another character that was close to that I believe was their version of Parasite in earlier seasons of Smallville. So Smallville had a thing where it went on for so long that sometimes they had actors play different characters within the series. Um, but it's really good, and you don't find out till the last episode why. It's
Huh.
one of those things. It's hard to explain it, but once you watch it, you'll be like, okay, that's why he didn't want to tell me the name.
Huh. I'll have to go Jack Larson. I
Um,
thought that character played the most comic accurate Jimmy Olsen out of all of them. The one from the Chris Reeve films, he
Mark
did
McClure.
nothing for me. He did
Yeah,
nothing for me.
Mark McClure. The funniest thing about because Smallville did this too. Yeah, like I said, even the slow episodes, nope. Even the ones that are kind of like, you still watch them because they plant seeds that pay off later in big ways. But Smallville brought a lot of people from all those movies in, and a lot of people from Smallville are in Man of Steel, which is super funny. Amy Adams was in an episode of Smallville. Uh, the guy playing
Was super funny a deliberate pun?
nope, accidental again. Um, the guy playing the doctor, I can't remember the last name, but Julian. He is in the room where one of the soldiers played Julian in Smallville. And the guy that dumps the beer on Clark in Man of Steel was in an episode of Small. Like the one that the soldier that first calls him Superman was in episodes of Smallville. So like it's a whole tied together thing between those franchises. But Mark McClure, that played Jimmy, was in Smallville. It's kind of like how they had Jack cameoed in Superman Returns, where he's the bartender.
Okay.
Was it Superman Returns he cameoed in? I think he's the bartender. Jimmy's sitting at the bar, and the power goes out.
In what episode?
No, in Superman Returns.
Oh, in Superman Returns. God, I haven't watched that in so long.
Yeah, I think Jack Larson was a bartender in Superman Returns, if I'm remembering correctly.
Huh.
Because the Jimmy in Superman Returns wasn't bad. It's just I didn't picture that guy playing Jimmy.
I'm having a hard time picturing who played him.
Oh goodness. The biggest thing I remember the kid from was not another teen movie.
Well, let me just Google real quick. That's called Superman Returns, right?
Yes.
Oh, him, Sam Huntington.
Yeah, there you go.
What do I know him from? I know him from something else.
He was also in a movie called Fanboys, I think.
Yes, that's the movie I'm thinking of. That's a
Okay.
great movie, by the way.
Yeah, I
That
love
movie
that
is
movie.
hilarious.
It is. Makes me cry.
Okay, so Perry White. Who's Perry White?
Oh, goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm blanking on his last. I'm gonna have to look him up, but first name's Michael. He's actually married to
Michael.
oh goodness.
Michael.
Hold on. Hold on. I'm
I
gonna
can't
find this
think
out
of a
real quick.
Michael.
Are you kidding me? You don't have her on the cast? He's actually married to Annette O'Toole. He was one of the he was one of the fictional band members of Spinal Tap.
Really?
Dang it, what was his name?
Mike McKeon?
Yes.
From Happy Days?
Yes, he actually played
I did not know he ever played Jimmy Olsen
no, he played Perry White.
or Perry White.
Yeah, he was Perry White in Smallville.
Oh, Smallville again.
Yes,
Okay.
like I said, I pull most of these from Smallville because Smallville just has a big place in my heart, man.
Interesting. For me, the most believable Perry White was Lane Smith
Oh,
from
Lois and
Lois and
Superman,
Clark.
or
Lois and
Lois and Clark.
Clark.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought he nailed that part. I thought he
Oh,
was a very believable what?
yeah. No, he was great.
Oh, I thought you were about to poop all over my choice there.
No. Lane Smith was a fantastic actor, man. I loved him in literally everything. Son-in-Law, My Cousin Vinny, Mighty Ducks, the first one. Like, dude was a fantastic actor. Yeah, that's a good pick. That's a
Yeah, I
good
really
pick.
like him. I really like him. All right, this one used to be a tough decision, but it no longer is for me. Who is Lex Luthor? You know who I'm taking.
I know who you're gonna take, but I'm going with Michael Rosenbaum, but that's only because I got so much more time with his Lex and had his Lex develop from Clark's best friend and actually good person to the character he ends up becoming. Yeah, it is streaming on Disney Plus. And the coolest thing about it, Nope, is they still have all the music. That's the one thing about Smallville I loved. Smallville introduced me to so much music when I was a kid. I loved a lot of the music they had in the shows.
And who am I taking?
You're taking Cudlets.
All right, man. Now, before that show, my choice probably would be very popular, but I loved Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor. He cracked me up. I thought he was hilarious.
Oh,
That
what?
scene, that scene where he was trying to get her to say Superman was coming, say was one of the best scenes ever. Go on, let me hear you. Say it. Say it. No, 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 not that. You know. Well, Superman, wrong, and he just
Yeah.
yells right in her face. I love that.
Yes.
I love that.
And
But yeah,
nope,
it's definitely Cudlets now.
nope. As far as voices,
Oh, I love Clancy Brown.
Clancy Brown, 100%. When I think Lex Luthor in the animated world, because there's been a lot of good ones too. There's been ones that have surprised me, like Rainn Wilson from The Office was Lex in Death of Superman. I think Rainn Wilson was one of them, but Clancy,
I
hundred
fell in love
percent.
with Clancy on Shawshank Redemption. He
Shosh,
was
dude.
amazing as that guard.
Oh,
Oh, he was just amazing. And then he was also on an episode of Star Trek Enterprise.
hmm
He was great in that. He's great in everything.
I'm pretty sure he made his way onto Smallville, and he was also in Flash, the show. So
Was he Lex in one of the cartoons like Justice League or something?
in most of the animated Superman stuff back in the day, he was Lex.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why
Fair
he's
enough.
like when I think of the voice of Lex, that's Clancy's my Lex, voice wise.
Okay.
And then to find out he does things like Mr. Krabs and all this other stuff.
Okay. And who's your General Zod? I don't even have to think about it. It's always going to be Terrence Stamp for me.
I could see that too. No, I can see that too. Whew, Zod. As much as I liked Callum Bloom in Smallville as Zod, I'm gonna have to agree with you, Terrence Stamp.
I thought for sure you were gonna pull Michael Shannon.
I liked Michael Shannon. Don't get me wrong. I think Michael Shannon is a fantastic actor. I think he did a tremendous job. But funny enough, Terrence Stamp is still kind of a Smallville pick because he's the voice of Jor-El in Smallville.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, but rest his soul, Julian. Oh my goodness, I almost forgot his name. Julian Sands actually plays a version of Jor-El.
Huh. Well, since you've brought up Jor-El, who's your Jor-El?
Whew.
I don't even know the name of the guy that was Jor-El in Superman and Lois. I've never seen him before.
Oh goodness, he was slow ass mother freaking Jeff in one of the Saw movies. I remember that. He was also, oh my goodness, I know. Was he in 300? Angus McFadden.
No, never heard of him.
He was in Braveheart. That's the movie I was trying to think of. Not 300. He was in Braveheart.
He was in Braveheart
Yeah.
with Jean-Claude?
No,
No,
Mel Gibson.
Braveheart with Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
I
He
was
was
thinking of
Robert the
Lionheart.
Bruce.
Oh yeah, he was. Okay,
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about now. That was a deep cut.
Yeah.
I'm gonna surprise you with this one probably. I'm gonna go with Alfred Molina. I love that guy. He was not only the perfect Doc Ock, but his voice was perfect for Jor-El.
Was that in.
Oh, you're gonna ask me what cartoon?
Oh,
It was like League of Super something or something like that. I don't remember.
hmm.
But I've loved him in everything he's done.
Now I'm going to have to look it
He
up.
was even in Indiana Jones. way when he was younger.
Let's see.
Or maybe I've got the wrong name. I thought he was
Well,
in.
it says he. Let's see. I see. I see him as DC League of Super Pets
Hmm,
has him as Jor-El.
I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong character.
Maybe because I think it looks like everything else was, if it wasn't Robot Chicken, which he was like Lex, Firestorm, and Green Arrow in those.
Hmm.
Justice League Dark, he was Destiny. Harley Quinn, he was Mr. Freeze. Justice League,
Wow, he's been a lot.
yeah, Justice League, he was King Gustav.
I
And
could have swore that I heard he played Jor-El.
the only Jor-El I'm seeing is DC League of Super Pets.
Who was Jor-El in Superman Returns? That was Dracula, right? Frank Langella, wasn't he Jor-El?
I thought Frank was Perry White in that movie.
Was he Perry White? I can't remember. I haven't watched that movie in so long.
They didn't just reuse Marlon Brando for Superman Returns?
Did they? Maybe they might have. You know, I think they did. Now that you said that, because I think his voice was talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Your
Well,
granddad.
I didn't like him.
Marlon Brando?
Yeah. I
mean,
know too much about his acting past. I can't stand him.
yeah, there's that, and he didn't even really care about the part.
No, he didn't.
They had to write his freaking lines down for him.
No. Yeah,
Your granddad? What are you talking about, Nope? Expand on that, because if you're about to tell me that you're a distant relative to one of these people like Triple B was with Gene Hackman,
he's talking about Russell Crowe.
making movies, making songs, and farting around the world. Man, I gotta think. I gotta think of. I still gotta think of a Jor-El.
Well, so do I now.
Jeez.
I'm definitely not going to go with Angus McFadden because I didn't think he was good at all in Superman and Lois. And I didn't care for Marlon Brando, and I'm surely not going to say Russell Crowe. So I'm in trouble. I might be Jor-Ellis.
I won't
I'm going to
be
cast a new Jor-El, Liam
okay.
Neeson.
Liam Neeson.
He's going to teach his son a specific set of skills.
Well, I'm gonna be cheap and say Terrence Stamp again, because Terrence Stamp was the voice of Jor-El in
Well, now
Smallville.
that could be an awkward casting. How would we know when he's on? When he's
Well, you got the young version, and then you got the older, more
okay?
grizzled version.
Yeah, I can dig that. I can dig that. So who's left?
Well, it depends on how far you want to go. You want to do Cat Grant? You want to do Steve Lombard? You want to do uh, Pete Ross? Lana?
Ooh, Lana. That'd be a good one. Although I really liked the Lana they had in Superman and Lois. I thought she was really good. Robert the Bruce
Is
is
my
my
20th
20th. Who is Robert the Bruce?
from like Braveheart. Those are based on real character, real people. Yeah,
Gotcha. I didn't know he was talking about Braveheart.
yeah. I was like, was this based on a true story? And people were like, well, wouldn't exactly say true story, but it is very history fact based. Just embellished for the Hollywood. Emmanuel Shrieky was Lana in Superman and Lois. Apparently, that's how you say her last name is Shrieky. I know her from a movie called The 100 Girls.
I knew her from something before too, but she was really good as Lana.
Uh, uh,
And Lana's it's been too long since I watched the show now. But Lana's first husband, what was his name? The one
Kyle.
yeah, Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
It drove me crazy the whole time I was watching that show. Who does he remind me of? Who does he remind me of? And then bam, out of the blue, I'm watching old wrestling. His facial features and his beard and his mannerisms, Big Boss Man. He looks and acts exactly like Big Boss Man.
Oh
And I'm
God.
like, oh my God, it's Boss Man. That's who I've been trying to think of. And now I went back and immediately watched an episode and I'm like, yep, it's Boss Man. That's exactly who it was.
And yet another thing I will never be able to unsee.
You're welcome.
I will say this is really cool. I can't remember the channel that was doing it, but there was a channel that was doing interviews with all the cast members, nearing the final season. And let me get the guys.
Can I change my Jor-El?
Yes, you absolutely can.
I'm going to change my Jor-El then. I'm going to change my Jor-El to be Adam Rayner, who played Superman's brother.
Oh,
He'd be perfect as Jor-El.
that's a good one. Eric Valdez. That's the name. They had him on, and on my phone I have it set usually to my Jay Burns profile. on the computer, I have it set to Hydra just because I do a lot of work on Hydra on the computer. And they're interviewing with him, and I got in there and I, blew a little smoke, but I meant it. And I was like, dude, I got to tell you, you and the entire cast, like, you took a character that wasn't in, or at least I don't remember too much from comics, and you made me dislike him at first, and then made me totally fall in love with him. You did a fantastic job. And he was like, he was very appreciative. So I was like, oh, cool. He acknowledged me. But he
Cool.
seems like a really good guy. He was very into the show, which a lot of them were. They all enjoyed working on the show immensely. So they were all happy most of them got to come back for the final season. If not all of them. I don't remember too many people missing from that final season of Superman and Lois.
Anyway, that Emmanuel Shrieky,
Mm-hmm.
she was in that movie Detroit Rock City, and that's that
Oh,
movie that Sam Huntington was in too, and
that's
Edward Furlong. That's where I knew her from,
okay.
and that's a good movie if you haven't seen it.
Oh, it's been forever. Been forever.
That's a good one.
So I'm going a little bit back because look, I don't personally have anything against Kristen Crook. It's just her Lana got a little too whiny for me as Smallville went on. I'm going Annette O'Toole as Lana.
Annette O'Toole. I'll have to
Mm-hmm.
Google her. Annette O'Toole.
She also played Martha on Smallville. But she was originally in Superman 2, I think.
3.
Oh, she was in 3. Okay.
Yeah, I know her from Cat People. I can tell she was in Cat People.
Yeah,
That's
she
an
went
old
on.
80s horror movie. She was also in that Eddie Murphy movie. The one with oh jeez, what is his name? Oh man, I can't think of his name. Nick Nolte.
48 Hours?
Yes, that
Okay.
was the name of it. She was in that too.
Yeah. Yeah, she ended up becoming like, so I don't know where it's at, but I know I have the original Smallville pilot, and it was a different person playing Martha, but she ended up in the role of Martha in Smallville. And then the Duke boy, John Schneider,
Yeah.
became Jonathan Kent. So that was, dude, that was a meeting of worlds for me that I never knew I needed until it happened.
The only reason I knew that is from you having me watch that Crisis, because he was in that as his as Mr. Kent.
Yeah.
In one of the episodes. So who's our big bad?
Let's see. Definitely not doing Dark Side from Smallville because that's the one part of Smallville I didn't like.
Well, it doesn't have to be from a previous movie. I mean, you can come up with something new.
I want Brainiac. I want Brainiac, and I already know. Again, I'm pulling from Smallville because James Marsters, who played Spike, I always get James Marsters and James Marsden mixed up. Let me make sure I'm saying the right name. Yes, James Marsters, who was in Angel and Buffy, and played Piccolo in that terrible, 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 terrible Dragon Ball Z live action movie. Uh, yeah, is Milton Fine, which I always thought that was weird, but again, I think because they didn't get seasons to explain, Milton Fine is the alias of Brainiac. So we had Milton Fine in Superman and Lois, but he was just a hacker, as far as we knew. I think if we would have gotten farther along with that, I think he would have ended up becoming Brainiac.
Interesting. I got to go with Bizarro. I had a taste in Superman and Lois, and I liked it for the most part. But I would love to see a Bizarro movie, like a really good Bizarro, with using the Bizarro voice and the whole spiel.
The speaking backwards.
Yeah, and maybe even having a Mixoplick bringing. You could have Mixoplick and Bizarro from another dimension or whatever. That'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, the one in Smallville wasn't bad. There's a lot of things where it's like you got to going into Smallville, you got to remember the effects for the time. So
Oh yeah, I know. I watched George Reeves.
yeah,
I know what you mean.
yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Nope. I can give you that. Emmy Rossum is anybody. Uh, yeah, the Bizarro in that one was basically like how they usually play it. It's the same actor playing a dual role, just kind of different colored clothes. Clark had a thing where if it wasn't flannel, it was this red jacket that he always wore. Red jacket, usually a blue shirt underneath.
Hmm.
Um, the Bizarro that they used was basically it was Clark, but in the parts where they really showed Bizarro, it was that weird kind of crystallized. He had like a crystallized face. It's kind of hard to explain.
It was almost like clown makeup, and then they had like cracks put in it.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about I'm trying to explain the one from Smallville.
Okay, gotcha.
They did like this weird cracked crystallized face for him. Like
Interesting.
it didn't look bad. There were some characters they took liberties with things just like they did in Superman and Lois that didn't bother me at all. The fact that they turned Bizarro in that spoilers, folks. The fact they turned Bizarro in Superman and Lois into Doomsday was very interesting to me. Like I know a lot of people probably, knowing how the internet was or is, probably wasn't a big fan of that. But to me, I was like, no,
It worked.
I liked it. I liked what they did there.
I liked it because they gave Bizarro his moment at the end
Yes,
when he let put Superman push him.
yes.
Until that point, I wasn't too happy with what they did to him, but I'm glad that they let him have a little bit of a comeback. You know what I'd really like to see? I'd like to see a live action challenge of the Super Friends. Oh god, that would be so much fun. That was where the Legion of Doom's hideout was, the big Darth Vader head out in the
Meanwhile, at the
swamp.
Legion of Doom,
Oh god, that was Saturday for me. If I missed that show, my Saturday was ruined. I was like, I had to see that floating Darth Vader head, which
yeah,
I don't know how the hell they got away with that. But that was so obviously like 5 Darth Vader faces in a circle.
yeah.
There's there's no doubts about it. And they had all the cool villains in there at the same time with Bizarro and is that the one where Mixoplick or was that just Super Friends? I can't remember. But I always found it incredibly entertaining the ways they found to get Mixoplick to say his name backwards.
There was
Crypto skim.
there was an
Okay.
episode of I think it was either the New Adventures. I think it was the New Adventures of Superman, the cartoon that came out after Batman the animated series, where it was Gilbert Gottfried played,
Oh, he'd have been perfect.
and that way he explained his name. It was Mixel Spitlick, but I've heard it Mixel Pidlick. I usually just call him Mixel, just to keep it easy for everybody because who knows what his actual name is, but that episode was so good because Superman was doing things like making him like he was flying, and Mixel was going behind him, and he ended up having Mixel spell out his name in the sky, and that sent him back. He'd go home to his hot wife in the fifth dimension and be like, "Okay, I'm getting Superman this time," and he'd disappear, and then he'd be back like 2 seconds later. Superman just kept tricking him over and over again. It was so funny. It was such a good episode.
That sounds like a good episode.
And like I said, Gilbert Gottfried is the voice. Just McGurk, McGurk, where are you, McGurk?
As far as the rest of the Justice League goes, my perfect Wonder Woman, it's too late. She's too old now. But Gina Carano would have been an amazing choice at Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
She's too old now, though. But so are half the people that I named. My Lois is dead, so I guess I can still use her.
Yeah.
I don't know who I would have picked to be the Green Lantern, especially Guy, because I love Guy. It would have to be, you know, who I would almost pick if he were younger. It would be Ed O'Neill. He would be such a perfect Guy Gardner. Like, doesn't give a crap. He'll save you, but he's gonna make you feel like a total moron for having to be saved. That's what being saved by Guy Gardner was like. Being saved by your dad.
Yeah.
He'd come bail you out, but he'd be like, "Well, what the hell were you so stupid for in the first place? I mean, what are you doing?" And that's what I like about Guy. And I think Fillion can do it, but I'm just reserved. I want to see how they do that.
It's funny to me that he's been Hal Jordan, the voice of Hal Jordan in most of the movies, and most of the animated stuff, right? He's been a fan cast for Hal for so long, and then he ends up getting cast as Guy. Ha! Jeez.
Yeah, I can't believe that they did that. I read that earlier. I'm not going to say it again and spoil it for people, but I overheard what he said.
That's
and
what the
couldn't
yeet
believe
was earlier. That was the yeet earlier from Phable.
I actually called the three-way.
Did you?
I did.
And again,
my few wrestling friends that I have, I made that call a couple weeks ago, and they're like, "No way!" And then after last week, I was like, "I'm 100% sure now."
It's been so long since I've watched a WrestleMania that when I found out, holy crap, WrestleManias are lasting the whole weekend now, and they were having premium live events on Saturdays. Like, I remember pay-per-views being on Sundays only. I remember them doing like a little something the day before WrestleMania, like on Saturday.
That's where they did their Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Would be like the day before. Yeah.
And then they do like a pre-show on WrestleMania Sunday, but now it's like a freaking Friday through Sunday event. And I got out of wrestling solely because when I first moved over here, I lived next door to my parents. So when I got there, I was supposed to be getting cable and I never did. So I fell off watching wrestling that way because I didn't have cable anymore to watch it. And then I'd catch a few things here and there, and when I got cable, I would. But I can't remember the last time like I watched Raw or any kind of wrestling that wasn't clips. Because there's some wrestlers that I've become kind of fans of, like Braun Breaker, just because of
that spear. What the hell? That was amazing.
Him. There's a LA Knight. There's quite a few people, and then other wrestling promotions. Like I watch indie stuff a lot too. But like people were asking me, well, what are your predictions? And I was just like, Cena's going to win. And that's just because the thing about Cena is I was watching when he first made his debut on SmackDown when he was the ruthless aggression. Like he was the prototype in OVW, and he was on this freaking weird paintball war show, like live game show way back in the day. I can't remember what it was called or anything. But when he first came on, I was like, okay, I like him. And then he adopted the Doctor of Thugonomics gimmick.
Are you talking about American Gladiators?
No, it wasn't Gladiators. Because I
Okay.
remember Gladiators. I loved American Gladiators when I was a kid.
Okay. I don't know what you're talking about then.
Yeah, I'll have to look the show because I was like, it was one of those Fox just didn't have a show in that time slot, so they just made something up and threw it in there. It was weird. It was a weird show. But, then he got stale to me. It's like the way he wrestled when he first got there, he was more than 5 moves. When he became that John Cena, the hustle, loyalty, respect one, he was like, just like you've been a face for like 20 years now. You got to
Man,
do
Sean
something
is just
different.
dumping spoilers like crazy out there. I was being nice. He's just dropping them left and right.
Oh yeah, dude, I loved wrestling when I was a kid. Yes, we did. That's my buddy Luke. He's a dude I grew up with. Lived across the street from me when I lived in a little place called Bayview. We moved out of there at the same time, but our families kept in touch for many years. But yeah, I loved wrestling. I was a kid who defended it. I was like, everybody's like, oh, it's fake. Like it's not fake. It's predetermined. There's a difference.
So are
They got to
movies.
do all the stuff in between. And trust me, no matter how much, everybody thinks a ring is made out of padding. No, it's not. It's boards and a spring underneath that mat.
Oh,
Getting hit with a chair doesn't matter how you do it. It doesn't feel good.
I still don't know how the hell Mick Foley survived that Hell in the Cell match. So that that
Thrown
pushed it beyond
thrown off of it and thrown through
through it
it.
onto tacks and a chair.
Yeah. Yeah. Cactus Jack, Mick
He was
Foley, dude love,
insane.
whatever you want to call him, man. He lost his ear in a freaking match where he got,
Yep, got
I
his head
can't remember
stuck
if
in the ropes.
yep, and ripped his ear right off.
Yep, ripped it right off.
Didn't get it sewn back on, just kept
He
it that way.
he was supposed to do one of those things where they get their neck stuck in the rope and pretend like they're hanging, and his really got stuck and he flipped out of it and the friction just tore his ear off.
It's
I've got to
crazy.
meet him a few times. He's a really nice guy.
We got close. Yeah, we did that too. We did a lot of stupid stuff when we were kids, man. We were more durable back then. Now, if I turn too fast trying to grab something, I throw my back out for a week.
You're not wrong. Enjoy the
Yeah.
good days while they're here. They don't last.
You know, it took me a while. Took me till I got older to really appreciate the old saying of youth is wasted on the young.
Yeah. Well, you know what? By gosh, I do have something right here. So hang on a second.
Okay.
I honestly didn't know we were going to go here with this topic.
The Hitman, 100%, man.
So I was pretty much a regular. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I was pretty much a regular at Motor City Comic Con for probably 15 years before it got over exploded from the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this championship belt that I bought specifically because my man, Mr. Foley, was going to be there. And he drew me a
Oh.
little picture.
Uh,
And it's not going to show it. I can't. Anyway, it says to Ed, my best fan from Mr. Sacco, and he drew the sock, but I can't get it to
I
show
know.
because of that background. Maybe if I back up.
Oh,
Kinda.
there you go.
But anyways,
We did a little bit, Luke. We did a lot of the Superman talk near the beginning.
yep.
I know.
Sure
I
did.
think I kind of know. I think I know your feeling on it, and I get it. I understand it. Just know that I'm excited. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna pass judgment till I actually see the movie. Now, y'all hold on. Wait for the dead space for just a minute because I got something to show you now. Hold on. All right. Awkward science is almost over, folks.
I was gonna sing the MASH song, but I didn't want to step on Jenna. Oh, the Smoking Skull Belt.
Yep.
Is it signed?
No. Well, but it's legitimate.
That's a much higher quality belt than what I have.
I got this. I don't even. Ooh, I don't even remember how long ago I got this, but I've had this, and you can tell that I've never really, other than displaying it, never really done anything because it's still not as flexible as the ones nowadays.
Yeah, I bet you that was a couple cool $100 at least.
Yep, got it from a gift from
Well, that's always
someone.
nice then.
Yeah, I got it from someone.
I also have a Sacco that he signed and drew a face on, but I don't know where that is. That belt's sitting out here on my table. So I'm like, oh, I can show that since we're talking about mankind.
Yeah, he was. I want to say he was at either Comic Palooza or at Dallas when we went a couple years ago, and I got to see him, but we didn't stand in lines for too many people. We were more about hanging out with hanging out with the people we knew. Like Garrett Gunn was there with people from Source Point. Mog and Mel were there, so we hung around them. Like I'm kind of a booth barnacle. No, Luke, I've had this belt for good night. It had to be almost 20 years. Maybe it was old. Maybe it was. I think it was an old girlfriend that got it for me. Actually,
Shh, admit nothing.
yeah. But it was like, yeah, I've had that belt for almost 20 years.
Keep it, a friend
Yeah,
got it for you.
yeah. I'm very sure because when this person bought it for me, it was probably my money they spent on it, so I probably still bought it for myself.
Even better. Stick to that story.
Oh, I'm positive that's what happened. Yeah, I've had
No,
I've
but
had that belt for a long time.
it was funny because the first time I met Mick Foley, I was actually expecting him to be shorter than me because on TV he's always so much shorter than everyone he wrestled. And when I stood up and got my picture taken side by side with him, he was like an inch and a half taller than me. I was like, dang, I did not realize he was that big. He's a big man. He
Yeah,
made me look tiny. But it was
no,
because he was in there with people who were 6'10", made him
true,
look small.
true. No, she bought it at a place in the mall because I remember now. It's a place in the mall that carried it, so it was Jessica. No, mom, no, trust me, my mom did not buy me that. My mom hated the fact that I was into wrestling. She did not. My parents were not a big fan of me being into wrestling. I think you might be confusing me with someone else, dude. My mom would never take me to wrestling. No, it wasn't my mom. Well, it wasn't my mom. I think you went with somebody else's mom because my mom would not. I'd be lucky if my mom took me to the movies. Yeah, it was. I'd have to ask her, but pretty sure because she bought it from a place in the mall for me. Because she also bought me around the same time. Eh, she bought at the same time she bought me a Ultimate Spider-Man statue that I still have, but the arms are broken off. Your memory's almost as bad as mine, man. Jeez. We got too many stories, man.
And remember, everyone's listening.
Yeah, like that much, yeah. That's true too. Ah,
Have you ever gone to a wrestling show?
I have been to when ECW came here when I was in high school living over here. Um, I had some friends that were into it. He got his dad or his stepdad to take us and another buddy. Man, he had to remind me because we got so wild about it. We were like swearing and remember we're like 16, 17 years old. And he finally had my buddy had to be like, "Hey man, you got to remember dude's over here." So we went to that. My very first WWE thing though was WrestleMania 17 when they were here on April Fool's Day.
Nice.
And it's another thing where I feel bad because I had a female friend who went and waited in line, bought me a ticket, didn't tell me she was buying me a ticket,
Oh no.
and she was like, "Hey, so you want to go to WrestleMania with us?" And surprised me with it. I was like, "Hell yeah!" She's like, she stood in line for like 4.5 hours to get these tickets. So my
Wow.
first event for WWE was the one that had I think it was the first ever tables, ladders, and chairs match between the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, and the Dudley Boys, and that was also the same night that Stone Cold turned heel and joined up with McMahon after
Yep.
wrestling The Rock.
Yep.
So that was fun. The next one I went to, my friend Ann, who helped train me when I first started working at Kroger. Okay, Luke. I love you, brother. Take care. Take care. Um, took me to some house shows. She when I first got to Kroger, she was the person who trained me in the deli. One of my friends still talk to this day. Um, she took us to some house shows. Those were fun. And then I got to go to WrestleMania 25. So
Oh,
for the
cool.
25th anniversary of WrestleMania, got me a DX T-shirt while I was there, way overpriced.
Of
Uh,
course.
Still looking to get my DX football jersey. DX was my thing when I was a kid, like most kids. But I was also a very big 1, 2, 3 kid, Shawn Michaels fan when I was younger. So,
I had the DX varsity jacket.
oh, that's awesome.
I've only been to one WrestleMania. That was WrestleMania 3.
Oh
The
wow.
rest of them were all house shows. Yeah, and I won tickets on the radio for WrestleMania 3.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I won
Yeah.
4 tickets, so I got to take 2 of my buddies and the teacher that wanted to drive. So we went with a teacher and 2 friends.
Oh man,
It was pretty crazy.
that's dope.
The coolest thing about it was with it being the Silverdome is when the event first started, because the Silverdome's roof was like a balloon. It was so bright and white in there from the sun shining through that. But buddy, when that sun went down, when they would kill the lights for the entrance, oh my god, it was pitch black. And that was so cool when they would kill the lights and then have you don't know who's coming out. But
Yeah.
I still think the best match on at WrestleMania 3 was the Savage Steamboat match. That
Oh,
match was incredible.
loved Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Yeah, I
Loved,
was always kind of perturbed they never put the big title on him. But that was back in the day where no one was allowed to beat Hogan.
true. True. That doesn't work for him, brother.
Yeah.
That's famous saying that doesn't work
Yeah.
for me, brother.
Yeah.
I think the coolest thing that happened at a house show is you really get to see the size of these dudes. We were pretty close to the ring, and Randy Orton, who I was a big fan, still am a big fan of Randy Orton, came out, and I stood up on my chair, put my leg up on the end, and did that to him, and he pointed at me and did it back to me. I was like, oh,
Nice.
that's awesome, and I didn't realize how freaking big Randy was. I didn't realize how big Undertaker was. Booker T, we actually walked past him. He was at Comic Palooza this past year. We took Sean for his first one, and we were walking around the corner, and I saw a dude like long ass braids, and I was like, "Dude, is that Booker T?" And Sean looks, he goes, "Yeah, it is." And he was sitting there. Booker had a comic that he was working on or something, but ran into the big show near the restrooms. Uh, you want to talk about a freaking tall dude? Geez, very like again. You see these folks on TV, and you know they're like kind of big guys, but seeing them
Yeah. I know.
in person, they're freaking humongous. Like especially to me.
Yeah.
Like back then, I was at least back then I was 5'5.5". Okay, so I was almost 5'6". I'm nowhere near that now. I have shrunk in my age and due to injuries and things. But I was also only like 130 pounds. So I was a very scrawny, muscly guy. But these dudes, I look like a toddler. Like Undertaker might not be big show sized, but he might as well be up close
Oh
and
yeah.
personal.
Especially with that hat on.
Holy crap, dude.
My sister, her friend's son was like a general manager at the Palace in Auburn Hills. I don't know if you're familiar with the Palace. That's where the Pistons played, and it also became like the big venue for sporting events once the Silverdome got tore down. So they always had like what do they call them where they're not televised shows, home shows, I guess. They were always you're muted or something. I can't hear you at all.
That was those are house shows.
Okay, house shows. And we were going to a bunch of those. And one time we had tickets where my seat was right where they walk out. I was right there where they walk out. And I'm like watching these guys walk out. And like you said, the Undertaker walks by and I'm like, and I know I said it out loud. I'm like, holy shit. And I had my niece with me who was like 14 at the time because it was her mom whose friend worked at the Palace. And then Hogan came out, and I'm like, good lord, you know? And then while all the matches are going on, all of a sudden I see this dude in a tux, and he looks familiar, and he's talking. And my mind is fixed on this dude instead of watching the match. And then it occurred to me who it was. Now, at the time, I had never seen him out of character. It was George the Animal Steel. And he was talking coherently,
Yeah.
using proper grammar, dressed in a suit, shaved. And finally, when it clicked, I said it out loud. I'm like, the animal? And he looked up and he's like, you're surprised I can talk, aren't you, kid? And I'm like, holy shit. And he ended up signing my program for me because he was right there and he was a cool guy. But it was so weird seeing him talk and not being all hairy and hunched over. I was like, oh my God,
Yeah,
that's George Steele.
yeah,
But the rest of them, I didn't even bother asking because they were so big and they were in a hurry. I'm just like, I just sat in awe and watched. And we were only maybe 20 feet from the ring, and we were right where they came out. So we got up close personal pictures of all of them as they were coming in. And Jake, when he had the python out, that was cool as hell when he left because he had him wrapped around his neck and walked right by us as you throw whatever thing you
yeah.
just throw.
I got so much crap on my desk. I'm knocking things over.
The one regret that I have is I never got to see LOD. I always wanted to see them live, and I never got to.
Hawk and Animal.
They were amazing. When I was a kid, that was tag team wrestling for me. Those guys were the bomb. And whenever they would lose, I'd be like, oh, whatever. The only way they ever lost was people cheating, but that was the score back then.
Yeah,
But those two dudes, oh my God, how would you ever beat a team like that if it was real and not scripted?
true. Very true. Man,
Sorry, I took us down a tangent.
no, that's good. Like I said, this is the Superman day after. We talked about a lot of stuff last night on the experience. We talked about a lot of Superman stuff here. So the last half hour or so talking about other stuff. Nice little break. But I know it's fixing to be midnight. But I think we're good. I think I'm gonna end it here. Get up kind of earliest tomorrow so I can get some work done. Uh, it's always, man, it's always a blast hanging out with you, just shooting the breeze, and you know everybody that hung out this long. As always, man, I appreciate you all. Like it's always a fun time. Do yourself a favor. Go if you got a pile started. You get an opportunity. Read some comics. Escape life for a little bit. If you haven't watched the little behind the scenes snippet of Superman, and you're not a person that is like, you know what, I'm not going to watch any more stuff from it, give it a watch. Let me know what you think. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm super excited. It's less than 3 months away now. It's less than 3 months away because it's July 11th,
Free
right?
comic book day is only a couple weeks, right?
Is it the first Saturday in May?
Yeah, it's the first Saturday in May. It's got to be close.
Yeah.
Today's the 20th. Yeah, it was two weeks from today.
Do
May
yourself a
3rd.
favor if you have a local comic shop, make sure you visit them. You know, if you could spend an extra $5 on some back issues or something, that'd be totally helpful. If you don't have a local comic shop, let me go ahead and find this because it is my place of employment, but let the experience be your LCS. We got sales shows pretty much all week. Friday Night Live will be back next week. So check out Nancy and them. Uh, get some books. That's all I can say, man. Like I never feel more at home when I'm not at home than when I'm looking and buying some comics. Like we didn't make a whole ton of purchases, but we bought some stuff, and it felt good after not going to a comic book store for quite some time. It felt good checking out a new place that, again, it might be more of a back issue place for me, but it was still nice to visit. And then going to Adventure Begins, which was a little more my speed with the trades and stuff they had. Um, we had a good time. So you got an LCS near you, make sure you support them however you can.
And if you go there on free comic book day and they're crowded and you can't really shop around, drop them a tip when you're going out the door, because those books are free for us, but they still have to buy them.
Yeah.
So, drop them a tip if you can't shop that day, because I usually put like a 10 or a 20 in their tip cup after I'm done. So that's all profit for them because I didn't buy anything. So they
Yep.
get to keep their books, and because I think they pay like $2 a book or something for those. So it's just because they're free for us, it's not free for them. They're just participating in it to help spread comics. So
Yep.
let's support them, show them some love, especially right now with all the craziness going on.
I can't wait till this thing gets resolved. Really, like, I'm hoping and praying for all the publishers and the comic book stores have been affected. I mean, again, if you've been watching comic collectibles the last couple weeks, we haven't had very many Dynamite books. There's people in the chat saying that they haven't gotten any from in their stores yet. So let's hope all this stuff, it's still going to take a while. Just know that whenever the decision with Diamond is finally made, it's probably still going to take a little bit to get back on track. So just be patient with folks. They're doing the best they can. You know,
And if you're buying comics online, be careful where you're buying them from,
yeah,
because pretty soon, if you're buying them from overseas, they're going to be a lot more expensive with the
yeah,
tariffs coming. So if you can buy local, buy local. And if you got a mom and dad shop, don't take them for granted, because when mine went out of business during the lockdown, it broke my heart. I'd been going there for 30 years.
yeah,
But it just, when everything got shut down, they just couldn't keep their doors open. So don't take them for granted. Get in there, support them. If you want them to be there tomorrow, you got to help them out today.
yeah, 100%. So, Ed, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drop you out and do my little spiel.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Absolutely, always love having you on with me, man. I'll see you in the background here in a minute.
Kidoki.
Take
See
care.
you, everyone.
All right, folks, another show. I just noticed too, if I get down here low enough, I'm not going to be able to do it. Look, I almost match the thumbnail down there at the bottom. Uh, as always, man, folks, I appreciate y'all watching. I know sometimes we go super duper long, but the fact that y'all show up is appreciated. If you just tuned in, we're ending, but make sure you watch on the rewind. And since I usually forget to say this for these things, make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Let us know any of your thoughts down in the comments, good or bad, but let's just keep it civil. That's the only thing I ask. But let me get my thing set up here so I can do my very awkward looking goodbye. Again, thanks for being here, folks. Hopefully, see you this week on The Experience. Be sure to check it out. Say hi. I'm usually on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday shows. So come by, hang out, have a great rest of your weekend. If you celebrate Easter, have a great Easter. If you celebrate the other thing, have a good tree day, I guess I should say. But you all take care, and I will see you next time. Later.